Yo.
Still out there?
Yes, sir.
You going back in? There's still men out there. God damn. When I go home, people ask me, "Hey, Hoot, why do you do it, man? Why? Some kind of war junkie?" I won't say a goddamn word. Why? They won't understand. They won't understand why we do it. They won't understand it's about the men next to you. And that's it. That's all it is.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. #1 listener-supported radio. The printing press for freedom at a time when freedom is needed the most.
What is going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest of costs.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio,
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
CPR street gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over. CPR street gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clocks run out. Time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
Walk Factor 8.
Their mission: to boldly go where no man has gone before. But outer space has other plans. And now, their mission has changed.
There's just one thing I want.
Revenge, Captain?
Why not?
Introducing the 9th film by Quentin Tarantino.
What were your orders, Kirk? To start a war? You've succeeded.
They meant to bring peace to the galaxy.
This will be your final battlefield.
They brought their pieces instead. It's a galaxy of green blood, green women, and Nazis.
Tell me your orders. You were sent here to kill Afira. Confess. What in blazes is this?
Captain Kirk, the captain's log isn't the only wood he's packing.
Captain.
Mr. Spock, half Vulcan, half human, full killing machine. Bones, this doctor is the real McCoy. Uhura, sending out vibes on all frequencies. Sulu, deadly at the helm, even deadlier with a blade. Chekhov, one badass mother Russian. And Scotty, he'll give you all he's got.
I didn't say the Enterprise should be hauling garbage. It should be hauled away as garbage.
Set your phasers to thrill.
Keep your f***ing hands off me.
In this final frontier, their prime directive is to kill. Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the broken down, low-rent, sleazy, double greasy Pirate Radio Nut Hut Studios, it's time for the very first ever Southern
camaraderie, the old bikes. You know, it is a brotherhood.
What you represent to them is freedom. What the hell's wrong with freedom, then? That's what it's all about. But talking about it and being it, it's two different things.
It's Friday night. Are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. We'll slow down there, little buckaroo.
Testing out the audio in the new place, yeah. Actually, the new place is the old place. I moved again, so I'm back in the old place. Still in Maui.
All right, well, listen. I'm telling everybody, and I'm warning everyone right now, before we get even started here, before we get going. I'm telling you. You hear this cricket?
He's a badass, man.
This cricket was sent by the government, and it's emitting a frequency. You hear it? It's got red eyes. Watch out! I'm just. There's nothing I can do about it, though. It's gonna happen tonight, so I'm just warning you ahead of time. There it goes again. All I got to do is make a noise, and boom. Gone just like that. Listen, there is so much going on, and we have not enough time to get into anything in particular in too much detail, because we have a spectacular surprise guest for everybody coming up in about 30 minutes. And I think I see him over there, but it's smoky in here. It's midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. Pacific. Santa Cruz, California, in the mountains, deep in the redwoods. Rock and Rio. have you arrived?
I am here.
Excellent. Well, hey, man. So, I mean, you've been personally affected by some of the stuff that's going on here in the world. This strike that happened just recently, and it was called off at the last minute. And I have some really some dynamic audio from the union president.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting to hear.
Yeah. So, but now you were saying they were telling you that your shipments were held up.
Yeah. We have a couple containers at the Newark dock that have not been released yet. So.
Yeah. So, listen, I'm trying to deal with this cricket seriously because it's.
Oh, they're terrible, man. I've had one sit outside my window for an entire show or an entire evening, and it drives you out of your mind.
I know. You know, it's funny.
If you can find them, the best thing to do is to give them the shoe.
Well, the problem is that, see, in Japan, crickets are lucky, and you don't ever want to kill a cricket that's in your house because it's bad luck. It's what they say. So, I mean, I think there's even little cages for crickets. You can keep them as pets. All right, hold on. Let me find this video of this president, this union president, telling it how it's going to be. Here he is. I think this is him. No. Here he is here. All right, hold on. Let me get this together. It's Into the Microcosm. We're at revolution.radio, freeworld.fm. It's the independent broadcast network. All fully listener supported. Come on down to Revolution Radio, become a Patreon. You know, subscribe for a couple bucks a month. You know, man. I mean, at this point, how much is a couple dollars even worth a couple dollars anymore? Real? I don't even know at this point. This cricket.
I don't know. I think a couple dollars is worth about 10 cents nowadays.
This cricket is the supreme commander of all crickets, and is sending out a signal now tonight over the airwaves across America and around the world.
He's just looking for some love. That's all. That's what.
Greedy companies are making billions of dollars, and they don't want to share. That's why we're out here now fighting for a contract. We're going to fight for it, and we're going to win it, or this portal will never open up again. From here to Houston, I'm not playing games here.
People who understand what you guys do, and they don't want the economy to shut down, but they don't fully understand the job of the men and women who work
That's
here.
the problem. Nobody knew what the longshoremen were. We didn't get respected, but now we will. Now we will when they find out malls are going to shut down because goods can't come in. Car salesmen are going to get laid off. Well, guess what? Everything that comes in this country comes from the containers off these ships that my men work. And I want the world to know it.
They learned during
Don't come after us saying we're greedy. Go after those greedy that own these companies in Europe. Go after them. They're sitting over there taking $4 billion bonuses for themselves at Christmas time. That's got to stop.
That's got to stop.
Greedy companies are making...
You know, listen, this is serious, man. Okay? We don't have enough time to get into it tonight because, you know, like I said, we have very special guests coming up at the 30-minute mark. But in the meantime, though, see, this is dead serious. And I'm going to tell you, this is not just about money. Okay? This is about automation. Okay? So the contract negotiations that are going on about this, it's not just about them getting paid more, which they should get paid more. You know what I'm saying? Because everything's gone up. Okay, I don't have a problem with them getting paid because, you know, take a look at what they do. You know what I mean?
These guys get paid less than most. There's two different kinds of longshoremen. This is the lesser tier. Yeah, they max out at $34.95 an hour, I think it is, which is ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous, you know what they do.
Man.
Honestly, they start at $20 an hour. For people who live in New York, man.
It's
$34.
$34
an hour in New York. No,
in New York,
right?
Barely. You might be able to upstate, but not
way.
Yeah, not working on the docks. Yeah, exactly.
No way, man. So, anyways, listen, just to pencil it out real quick. You know, like I said, we're not getting into this right now, but listen, pencil this out. Let's say that these guys make what they say they make. Okay, they say their salary is $100,000 a year, but when you're in the union, you don't work every day. Sometimes you sit home. Sometimes, you know what I mean? It's not, but let's just say they worked every day. They work 40 hours a week. Let's say they make $100,000 each a year. Okay? There's 45,000 of them. Multiply that because that's what these ports pay out every year for manpower to do this work. Okay, do you think if they could automate that, how quick do you think they would get rid of these longshoremen? It'd be, see you later, buddy. You know, why don't you learn how to work on robots? Anyway, this is a heated issue, but somehow they averted it before Christmas. Somehow. And even but still, there's gonna be delays. Even right. So Rio, now what are they saying about your stuff? How long is that going to take? Now it was supposed to be here. Now what are they saying? It's going to be here in a month or 2 weeks? What's it going to be?
I don't know actually. You know, all I know is that the containers are here, but they're delayed.
All right. Well, listen. There's a lot of stuff going on around this hurricane, and like I say, we're not going to get into everything tonight. But there's some things we need to point out about it, and that is that there's I have another piece of information here somewhere. I'll dig it out in a minute. But the point is that there's people running around right now saying, I have an article that's written about this, but there's people running around right now saying, and I'm not saying it because I don't know it to be true, and I haven't had time to go and exactly look at it to see if there's any potentiality for it to be even true. But the point is that because of everything that's going on around us at this particular moment is the only reason I'm bringing it up, because it kind of, in a way, would make sense if it's true. Now I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying if it was true, it would make sense to see what I'm seeing right now. So there's a thing going around saying that the corporation known as the United States of America is ending or has ended already. That corporation is no longer in effect. It's been taken away. So it's no longer there. Now we're back to the original thing that we had before we had the corporation. But so if that's true, and the Federal Reserve is bankrupt, and all this that's being said at this particular time, that would make sense of why there is no extreme rescue efforts where all resources are focused on a single. I mean, where's the ships coming in from other countries to help us with that? I mean, didn't we used to go around the world doing that when shit happened? Didn't we used to go around the world, whenever there was a disaster? America was there with bags of flour or whatever the fuck it was. Rice.
Yeah.
You know what
Hospital
I mean?
ships. Yeah.
How come no one's coming to help America? I mean, it seems like our military can't do anything. Nobody can do anything. Oh, wait a minute. Look, it's eminent domain. Just cropped up. What the fuck is that? Did you see that, Epic? It's eminent domain. Because only 1% of the population in this area has flood insurance.
Yeah, max 2%. It's awful, right? Because nobody anticipated that. That they should have, I guess, because they're living in a flood basin, but it hasn't flooded in like 100 years, right? So nobody thought that it'd be an issue.
They said this was a 14,000-year flood. All right, listen. There's
a river there, but nobody anticipated this happening.
All right, real quick, just to touch on this real quick. Listen, there's 2 crystal mines in North Carolina. 2 crystal mines that make crystals, and they're used in all the chips and the chipsets. And
lithium, yeah.
There's lithium there too. But the lithium is not what the issue is. What the issue is those 2 mines supply everybody with the crystals they need to make chips. And if you can't make chips in this modern world, guess what? Everything's going to come to a grinding halt. Now, also, there's a deal with Taiwan to come into Arizona and make chips. A $6.6 billion contract.
That's TSMC.
So do you? There's those mines there, those crystal mines. Now Epic just brought it up too. What about this now, Epic? The lithium. How much lithium?
Yeah,
is
it's
there?
not as big as people are making it out. It's big. It's $90 million, right? But worth of what they anticipate the business being worth $90 million for a lithium mine. Which is, it's unusual to have one in the mainland United States. We import most of that, actually. So
right.
it's good to have one.
Let me ask you a question. When the Maui fire happened, FEMA came in there. They gave everybody $700, didn't they?
$750, yeah.
$750. Okay, so that's what they just...
We're a little bit on edge about that. We don't say little callback to the wildfires, because it's the same kind of thing. I mean,
it is
we didn't see
exactly the
FEMA
same
either.
thing.
You know,
No,
they were here, but we didn't see them. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing.
And the same people and the same exact people are benefiting from the removal of these family-owned residences that have been kept in the family. Those families are wiped out now. And BlackRock just comes in and scoops this shit up, pennies on the dollar, which they're going to do. And I mean, you can go like I said, we're not getting into this right now, but you can go ahead and, peach out over on BlackRock and look at what their investments may be over there in that area. It looks pretty substantial. Anyways, so that was going on, and so we noticed it. And there it is. And what we're hearing from the people on the ground, and I was listening to Clyde Lewis' show earlier before we came out to do the show, and I was hearing some calls coming in from North Carolina, from people that live there, people that are going through what they're going through there, and it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like you want to be in it. No, it doesn't sound like you want to be in that situation, Epic Journeyman. And so you lived it because you were there when the fires happened. And now how much time has passed? How many months have passed?
It was a year on August 8th. Yep.
Okay. So it's been a year. What's happened since then? Is anything rebuilt? Is anything happening there? Is there
just barely starting to get some permits now. They cleared the debris. Right about the 1 year anniversary, most of the debris was cleared. They opened up the lower road, but you can't drive into town. There's no town. You take the lower road through. But yeah, it's just all like concrete pads. If there's a concrete pad there with nothing on it, and there's no real construction going on yet. They're still held up with a lot of permits. We're getting permits, but it's hard.
I heard a call come in from North Carolina. This guy said that his buddy that they lost their all because everybody that lives up there in the mountains, they keep everything in freezers. So they store their food in freezers. So when the power goes out, they lose all that food that they saved up. So he's saying he was throwing out this food, and this guy told him that a guy came pulling in a pickup truck with a bunch of bodies in the back of the truck, and they were bringing him down there because he found them out behind his house, and they were stinking the place up. I mean, there's some shit going on there, man. It's unbelievable literally, it's just unbelievable the times that we're living in. Seriously, Rio, what is this comet and this asteroid? What is it? Is it an asteroid that's coming in?
It's an asteroid. It's coming in.
So
it's going to be a temporary second moon for a few months, I believe.
All right. So that so the last time this happened was the time of Jacob, or whatever. Right? I mean, I'm serious.
We got the Comet 2. The Comet 2, might be able to see it in daylight.
And there's a star that's going nova sometime this week. You'll be able to see it in I can't remember the name. It starts with a C, but it's a crescent-shaped constellation, and right at the bottom side of it, you'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting because it happens every 80 years, so that this star goes nova.
Well,
and you can see it for like 3 or 4 days with the naked eye.
People
are comparing it to the Star of Bethlehem.
There's some astronomical configuration going on right now with Pluto, and supposedly this hasn't happened. It happened. The fall of Rome happened at this time, and I think it might have been the American Revolution happened the last time it happened, but each time it happened was some sort of event like this. For some reason, though, and I'm kind of touching on it a little bit because I don't care what. If you go out there on the internet and go look for astrologers right now, and go look at what they're all saying about this month coming up and these alignments that are happening, this looks like to be a super intense 30-day period that we're going through, and I mean literally the onslaught of what's going on right now, teetering on the brink of World War III, all this shit that's going on over in the Middle East. At any given moment, I hope people realize that at any given moment, gas could be $20 a gallon. Like at any second.
That's no joke. Yeah.
At any second. Like you go to sleep tonight, boom.
Yeah, they sealed the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians mine it, and now there's no oil leaving the Persian Gulf. So it's not that it affects us so much. We could fend for ourselves, but the global supply is dictated by that, right? So you suddenly cut off the supply of oil to Europe, and half the world basically doesn't have a pipeline connected to it, and yeah, it's going to spike enormously.
Yeah. Well, anyways, man, if we don't have sponsors for storable food or anything, so I'm not trying to tell you. I'm not telling you all this to make you buy some food from somebody, but I'm telling you this: if I was you, definitely this weekend, you might want to quietly, go around to the stores that you frequent and buy some of the things that you like, and put them aside for yourself, man. Because you never know. You never know. Power goes out. Listen. There was a X9.5 solar flare yesterday that's going to hit on Sunday. There was a 7.1 flare that hit the day before that's supposed to hit today, but we're all still here. So did they change the scale of these flares? Because I seem to remember all this. Remember Dr. whatever it was, come on Coast to Coast and talk about this. He was a remote...
The Colonel, right? The Colonel...
the remote viewer dude. And he'd come on there and say, it's the kill shot. Something. The sun. This is the kill shot. Or whatever. But it wasn't, it was like a...
It almost hit us, too.
Well, I'm just saying, isn't this X10, wasn't that the worst solar flare?
Yeah. It was X9, X10 solar flare.
Well, now they're saying...
almost hit us, kill shot.
Well, now for some reason they're saying the Carrington event is an X48 or something. Like they changed the way they measure it for some reason. But even...
Revisionist history, yeah.
But even irrespective of that, let's say an X, because this was Earth facing, both of these were. Let's just say this X 9.5 solar flare was coming in, and it was going to just, it was going to knock the power out. Do you think they'd be making announcements about it? Hey, solar flare's coming in, power's going out in a couple days, and probably don't know when it's coming back on. So,
don't you worry about it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? What it would be like instant gridlock. Yeah, Major Ed Dames, exactly. Wouldn't it be instant gridlock? The shelves would go empty immediately. Just want people just to be sitting there, having a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden, power goes, boo, everything stops. And nothing left but this intense cricket. Man. All right, well, listen. We got a very special guest coming up. It's hard to just, describe our guest because it's really a lot of. Well, we'll see. It's indescribable, and I can't necessarily even put it to words, but he worked with a good friend of ours and a good friend of the show's, Bruce McDonald, with a book called The Light of Darkness. And his name's Robert Wiegand, and we're going to come right back with Bob, and we're going to have a discussion about the journey to the center of the self. And, everybody's seeking, everybody's searching in this world. Lots of people, they feel like they're here for a reason, or, they're searching for whatever that reason is, or there's just so many systems of religion and different, and there's, from Catholicism all the way down to Harry Potter. Everything is a belief system, and everybody works off a belief system, and so it's hard for us to, really put our fingers on exactly what it is that we're looking for. There seems to always be this place inside that, needs to be filled for a lot of people. I don't know. I guess, hey, Rio, would you say, and Epic Journeyman, would you say religious experiences are more or less, personal, or is it? Would you feel that how you feel about something will emanate from you to another person? If you whatever religious beliefs you have.
Well, I think people pick up on it. If you're a loving, kind, caring righteous person, you know, people will see that in you and your example. They'll pick up on it. And notice it. I mean, just like when you can tell when somebody who's really dark and evil walks into the room, right? You get people say you get a vibe about them, but
with your back turned to them, you know it. Yep, that's a fact.
And it's you can sense the positive or the negative that surrounds people.
Yes. So conversely, if somebody comes in and they're happy, and they just, they're happy about life and they come cruising in and, got a smile on their face, these people, their vibration seems to be a little bit higher, in a way, more than a black hole sort of a sucking device, more than an energy, transmission device that, appears and just turns into a black hole and sucks your energy right out of you. This is conversely, the person that comes in that's happy about life, they got stuff going on for themselves, this and that, and the other thing, they feel good, this and that, they draw people to them and around them, because it feels good to be around them. That's the thing is, I guess, man, I think I'm going to strive to be the kind of person that someone feels good around. Mine's Jimmy. Coming up, Bob Wiegand. It's another microcosm.
The faces all around me, they don't smile, they just crack. Waiting for our ship to come, but our ship's not coming back. We do our time like pennies in a jar. What are we saving for? What are we saving for? There's a smell of stale fear that is reeking from our skins. Drinking never stops because the drinks absolve our sins. We sit and grow our roots into the floor. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? So give me something to believe, 'cause I am living just to breathe. And I need something more to keep on breathing for. So give me something to believe. Something's always coming, you can hear it in the ground. It swells into the air with the rising sound. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because
Hey, Bob. Are you there? Is Bob over there? Bob,
The quick get toned down.
He's muted if he is.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Bob, you're muted. Huh. Hang on a second. Well,
He's
anyway.
still connected, so he may just
Yeah.
not be there at the moment.
Hang on a second. I just don't know if I can unmute him. Hey, Bob.
No,
you're-
I don't think you can.
No. Hey, Bob, you're muted. The cricket is back. All right. So,
Yeah.
listen. So while we're waiting for Bob to come back,
There we are. What's that?
oh, there you go, Bob. There you go. No
I
worries.
was on my laptop.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I was on my iPad and it wasn't working.
No worries. No worries. So, I say we're super happy to have you. and we just got done. Happy from Pharrell just played there, so we were talking about how, you know, when a person is happy in their life and they come into a room, you know, everybody feels, you know, they could feel that they sort of have some sort of something about them. You know, it may not be necessarily the way they look. It's just they're happier and they feel good. They're coming in, and people sort of gravitate towards these people in a way, don't they? They sort of come to them because of the way that they feel inside, or, you know, about themselves and about their lives.
Yeah, that song is how I feel now. Wasn't like that before, but now it is. Yes. The journey here was not normal. It was totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I have to sometimes slow down, because what I have learned is people, it changes their perspectives. I don't know. Let's just follow the trail wherever you want to go.
Okay.
I have a lot of stories.
Well, yeah.
But,
I guess if it would be cool is we chatted a little bit about it, and you were saying how you know had met somebody when you were on a trip over to the islands. Would you be interested in talking about some of that? Because I thought that was a very powerful experience that you told about.
Yeah. Okay. It was a setup. Okay. The book, The Light of Darkness, The Warrior's Tale for Our Time.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce and I, when we were writing that, I had just really started getting into conversations with a friend of mine in Molokai. And the way I met him was everything about him and me was not human. It was totally off the planet. I can't even begin to really explain it. So I'll just tell stories. It's story time now. I owned a plane. I lived in Lahaina, Maui, and it was May. This is January, February, March 11th, 2020. That's when the lockdowns hit Hawaiian Islands. That's when they decided to do it. And that's about a week after that, I got on a show with Carrie Cassidy. Mm-hmm. And I spoke for a couple hours with her, and I had a message I had to put out. It was really important. And I had okay, I'll get back to where I met him. I'm recently giving you this background information as it will play into it. And backing up from that, before I moved to Maui, I was living in Newport Coast, California. Mm-hmm. And like my neighbor was Kobe Bryant. I'd see him at the park. You know, my kids would play, and his daughter would be basketballing it up.
Yeah.
And
nice.
He was a really cool, very cool dude. And so I was always in these affluent areas, but I never fit in. I was really different. A lot of this information that I'm just kind of skipping over, I'm actually doing on my YouTube channel. I'm reading all the chapters of the book, yet I'm going into a lot of detail. I'm exploding out each chapter and giving a lot more information and background as I read the chapter, because I couldn't do it in the book.
Well,
in fact, when Bruce wrote the book, he was so freaked out he didn't want to print it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a powerful book. All right, and it's you know, I mean, this is not a fairy tales, you know, for reading late at night. This serious book, a serious journey that Bob has been through, and for someone, and we've talked about it on this show, if you get the benefit from someone who has gone through something, and you've never gone through it, but you get the benefit of the wisdom that people get from walking through their lives. You get that without having to actually do what they did. That's a gift that people are given, and Bob has shared, you know, his personal journey, you know, publicly, and you know, he didn't get to where he is lightly. In other words, he's paid for every single thing that he knows he had to pay for with something. Well, attention, you know, meditation, you know, practices, all these things, you know, add up to getting someplace further or beyond where the normal person would go to find this type of Bob, it's not really even information. I don't want to call it information.
No, it's an experience.
Yeah. So
Okay, I'll tell you what it is. The truth of it all the way down. I'll just boil it out to you and tell you what it is. It's about depossessing yourself. Depossessing yourself. There's a lot to that. It's just not demons and aliens and entities, ideas and beliefs. You're depossessing. I depossess myself of my own self. I can tell you some stories that really help, because this is not something you can take notes on and reproduce.
No.
I was made to do all this. I didn't do it because I thought it was a good idea. I didn't even know about it. When I had a plane in Maui, and I was taken off from Kahului Airport, and I was heading out to sea, taken off from Kahului Airport, and I was going to turn right to go to Hana and land in Hana. I had a car in Hana, and then I just took people around, showed them stuff, and then flew them back. Well, as I was taking off,
cool,
I had
man.
4 other people.
That sounds great, man. Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
I had it. I was flying volcano tours. I got stories about just flying there that are just off the hook.
Wow.
So
That's
I
amazing.
was turning
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so I was turning right because I did live volcano tours and everything in my plane. I had a V-tail Bonanza, and man, I just went everywhere. I went to every single airport on the island. So I
Sweet.
got to know all the islands. I got to know the personality and traits. I got to meet a lot of people on a lot of the islands. It's very unique. People don't get that opportunity. People just don't go from island to island. It isn't easy. And it's very inconvenient and expensive to go from island to island. You can go from Maui to Honolulu on the local planes. It'll cost you as much or more than going to LA. It's so messed up. So people don't go between the islands. But
No.
I did. So I got to know all these different things. I got to know the true history of the Hawaiian Islands. Man, nobody knows that history. I'm telling you, nobody knows that history. No one knows it. Those are secrets. The stuff that I learned. So the voice that there always throughout my life, from time to time, there would be these guys, because I could always see more than one, and they would start telling me what to do. It's not a possession. It's like, you need to turn left. I'm taking off. My wheels are coming off the ground, and I'm turning right. I have clearance to turn right, and I am hearing these guys tell me, you need to turn left. I go, I can't do that. And I heard it really loud. They all said it. You need to turn left. So I called the towers. My front wheel came off the ground. I go, hey guys, can I turn left? You got to understand, man, there's a jet coming in every 4 minutes to Maui from the mainland.
For sure.
So they go, yeah, you can turn left. I couldn't believe it. So here I go, turning left, and I gain altitude, and hey, where am I going? And they go, I could see them like to my left. They were pointing, and they go, down there, down there, down there. It was Kalapapa, Molokai, the leper colony. And here I'm into my head saying, I can't go there. I can't land there. I need a permit. I can't. That's a private airport. That's a federal crime if I land there. And they go, no, you can land there. So, okay. So I have these people in my airplane. There's 4 people. And we'd land on the airport, and I get out, and this dude comes running out of the shack, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm busted, man. And he goes, push your plane onto the grass. There's 2 more coming behind you. And these 2 caravans come in, and it was all the tourists.
Oh,
There's like
wow.
25 tourists in these 2 caravans. And then this big ass bus pulls up, and it's my friend. I won't say his name because he deserves to have his privacy now. He almost died helping me several times. It was very intense what we went through and did.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets out and he goes, hey, everybody get into the, it was like a lean-to where with a cover in case it was raining with all these seats. Hey, everybody come in here. We're going to start the tour right now. And he walks up to me. Come on, guys. Are you coming? And I turned and looked at the people I brought, and they were all shaking their head. Yeah, let's go. I'm like, dude, I'm so in trouble now. It doesn't matter. So we got on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing he said was, you've entered the Twilight Zone. And I looked up at him, and I realized he was only talking to me because everybody else looked like they were asleep. I was like, what is going on? Even the people I brought. So he goes, I've mastered love. This used to be a big continent called Mu, and there are Lemurians here. And he's literally telling the history, the secret history of Hawaiian Islands.
Wow.
And I'm looking at him and nobody's registering it but me. He was just talking to me. I was like tripping out. I go, master love. I got to master love. It just came out of me. I have to master love. I'm going to tell you something. If you really think you're going to make a mission of your life to master love, be prepared to die. Because I've died 6 times in the last 3 years doing this. It wasn't an easy journey. It took everything out of me and stripped me of my own self. I don't even exist anymore. 2 plane crashes, cancer. I was physically attacked by beings I couldn't see that literally felt like they were ripping out my left kidney or ripping out my liver, pissing blood for 2 years after that, laying in bed for 4 months, having amnesia for a month. I got my ass kicked, man. It's no freaking joke. And we were writing that book, and Bruce is watching all this going on with me because we talked every day.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, is this going to happen to me? Oh, I started busting up laughing, and I go, Bruce, this is only for me, man. You could do whatever you want. Anyway, I can get into him later. So we go taking off on this tour, and at lunchtime, he realizes that I wasn't really part of the plan. And he starts talking to me one-on-one, and he gets 3 inches from my face. I can feel and smell his breath. And he's talking to me, and I swear to God, I felt like Charlie Brown's mom's was talking to me. All I heard was, wah, 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 wah. And I tried my best to hear what he was saying, and I couldn't hear it because his frequency was so high. It just, I don't know. I couldn't hear it. But I knew he was doing something to me, and he was imprinting something in me. This guy truly mastered love. Now, let me just take 30 seconds here. A true master doesn't teach. A true master transfers. And when they transfer it, all the knowledge, experience, thousands of years, the history, everything comes into you, and it's alive, and it teaches you and trains you and guides you, and you become it. That's what happened to me. There's no other way to have done it.
So,
well, that began I was supposed to meet him before I left for Maui, which was in 2016. A friend of mine I was talking to, he was really intelligent. He was very clairvoyant and psychic, but it was just something that he didn't talk about. So he tells me, he goes, you're going to go to Maui? I had a family. There was 5 of us, and you're going to come back alone. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, but you're supposed to meet someone there. So I was set to go there to meet this friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, to describe him is not possible. He wasn't a human being. He was born here, but he was not human. He had, in a nutshell, he had fully connected to his soul, and he was a soul living in a human body. I don't want to get into try to explain that, but all I can tell you is I have never met anyone that is like that. I can tell you this. Anyone out there working in the metaphysical is a joke. And I don't want to really get into details about what the joke is. I can break it down, but I'll just say what he told me. They're swimming in their own gagada, and they don't even know it because they're backstroking in it, looking up at the sky, seeing the shiny lights, and they think they're light workers. I am telling you, he told me the truth. I now know that is a fact. The truth of it is if you want to, it's not who you are that matters, it's what you are. And what are you? The big question is why don't you start asking yourself, what are you? Everybody here in the world is trying to find out who they are. They will never find out what they are, ever. It will never happen as long as you're on the road of trying to find out who you are. It has to do with the human body, the human condition, and the personality. These things, when the body dies, the personality dies, and you begin to remember again who you were. What happens with a lot of people, they're afraid of the soul trap because what it is they can't remember. So I remembered.
Bob,
that's what it eventually came down to.
Bob, this is a question that many people have, and they're seeking an answer. and I want to put forward that because of that, the system pumps into them what they are. And so the system as it stands, the current system we live in, pumps and advertises to and fills the needs and tells people what they are so that they can consume appropriately. So the true seeking of and finding of what we are might not be what we think it is. And I think that's what you're getting to, Bob. It's not such an easy hole to fill, is it?
It's like going through an hourglass. You will. What I experienced was, I call it the gauntlet. Man, I went through a gauntlet. I got my butt kicked. They just wanted to test to see if I really had what it takes to figure out who I am, what I am.
I have a question.
Yeah,
if you don't mind. I don't mean to interrupt, but because I have some experience with this and lived here for a while, and have encountered the spiritual realm you speak of that is prevalent here in Maui in particular, because it's in the center of the islands, basically the island chain, surrounded by sea. Like the sea represents the spirit, essentially the spirit realm, but the energy that focuses a lot in the islands. Each island doesn't leave that island. Like the farther out to sea you go, the more insulated you are from the energy of individual space. But in the islands, it focuses like a focal point. I think I've always felt that way over here. But when I felt that I was approached, if you will, like I was given the call. Like in religion, they often use that word "called," right? Back in 1987, and I had a vision. So I want to know if you had a vision. Like, did you feel that call? Was there a point where, randomly, maybe it wasn't random, maybe you're out camping, maybe you're just walking down the beach, where you all of a sudden you felt that touch? The other world.
Okay.
Touch.
All right. Okay. I'll just do it in bullet points because it was a series of events. In the 1980s, I think it was 81, space shuttle blew up Columbia. I was in college at Brigham Young University in Oahu. And I really loved it. And when I was there was a spirit woman that came up and touched me in the middle of the back and said, "You." And I turned around and there was no one there. But I was with a friend of mine and he heard it too. And he just was looking straight ahead and he goes, "I didn't hear anything." I didn't even say anything. And I went to the locals and I go, "Hey man, what is this about spirits and stuff here?" And it was really kind of getting paranormal. So I finished up the semester and I went back to LA. Well, that was in 81. I joined the SEAL team. I ended up in Pearl Harbor in the military. And then I went back to LA and I go, I think I want to live there, but I just didn't have any reason to go there. So I didn't. I married a woman and she had lived in Maui in Lahaina for 9 years. And she wanted to go back there. And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. So we have a couple kids. We're living in Newport Coast. And I was in a lot of litigation. I just couldn't get out of the courts. That's a whole nother story. And that's where I got into Palo Mayombe and witchcraft. And dude, that is intense. That was tearing the veil, like unbelievable.
Well, listen, Bob, we're coming up at the top of the hour for the break. So why don't you take us out and just, we're going to get more into that, ladies and gentlemen, next hour. It's Revolution.radio. It's freeworld.fm and the Independent Broadcast Network. Mine's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. We're here with Bob Wiegland, and you can find the book that we're speaking of, The Light of Darkness, on Amazon, and it's Bruce MacDonald and Robert Wiegand, Wiegand, and that's where you can find it. And we're super excited to have you here, Bob, and you have a lot to share, and it's going to be an intense journey tonight, ladies and gentlemen, unlike anything you've probably experienced before. I can say that for sure. And I just want to thank you again, Bob, for coming in tonight. And I know it's late because you're on the East Coast, but I'm still excited about the thought of having a plane and flying around the island.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
when I got sick, I had stage 4 lymphoma, and I got sick. And the first job that I got after I got better was I was working for a company, and they were going to map out the islands for T-Mobile. So I had to go to all the islands, drive around, and map out all the telephone poles everywhere. And so I drove over all those islands over 3 days. I mean, the only picture I got was my hand on the steering wheel. And I never even really got out of the car. It was just me and a dude and a laptop just driving around the islands. And so I've always, I think about it. It's a place I think about. And when I think about someplace I'd like to be or go, that's always been one of my favorite places. My name's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosm. We'll be right back.
In the gun. Now the peace pipe it ain't smoking. All the promises are broken. The heat of the morning. See the horse in the gun. All in the name of God somehow. Tearing the temple down. Burn down the sacred ground. Tear the temple down. In the name of God somehow. Burn down the sacred in the dead of the evening, when the spirits come down, say a prayer for the proud one on the killing ground. Now the peace pipe is less broken, all the shame has gone unspoken. The dead of the evening, when the chills come down. Yeah, all in the name of God somehow. Tearing the temple down. Burn down the sacred ground. Tear the temple down. In the name of God somehow. Burn down the sacred ground.
Revolution Radio, freeworld.fm. It's in the Microcosm. We'll be right back.
All in the name. All in the All in the name of God somehow.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
If you're sick of the lies and ready to know thyself, to love thyself, well then tune in to the Loveolution with your hosts, Amy and John Paul, where we speak all about truth, love, and freedom every Tuesday night, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, right here on Revolution Radio. And remember, only you can free your mind control. Be a Loveolutionary.
Do you love topics about history, world events, popular conspiracies, and everything under the sun, while discussing their historical context? Then welcome your host, Trinity, where no topic is off the table, truth is spoken to power, and where your voice can be heard. Here is where you can communicate openly and learn from one another, while respecting our diverse society and figuring out the truth to where we're heading. Join Trinity in a 2-hour roller coaster ride of research, comedy, and interesting content, made with you in mind, people that matter the most. On Mondays at 12 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Central, only on Revolution Radio Studio B. Be a part of a different way to hear radio.
Check in every Thursday night for the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show. Studio A, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at the #1 listener-supported radio station, Revolution Radio.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got now.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
It's Friday night. Hour number 2. Our host, Bob Wiegand. Sharing with us some of his story, his journey.
Time has passed. Those were memories that went by so fast. I can't see you.
It's Revolution Radio.
I can't hear you, but I feel you.
Before the break, Bob was telling us about finding his way over to the islands and meeting a particular person that was there specifically at the moment. He arrived at that moment. Some people call it the moment of truth. So Bob had a moment of truth with a certain person. He had I think what you said, or what you called it, Bob, was a transference. So did you want to get into where you left off there? You said you just now had gotten to the island and you were starting to explore the Palo Mayombe. Is that how you pronounce it?
Okay, all the dates and everything. I think the best way to do this is I'll skip all the historical stuff. It's in the book, and I go into a lot of detail explaining this stuff.
Yeah.
It's the YouTube channel is Kimo Wasabi. It's a joke. Kimo is like so common of the name. It's like Bob in Hawaii.
Yeah,
Kimo.
I know.
And then wasabi is the green stuff you get at the sushi bar. Wasabi.
Yeah.
So it's Kimo Wasabi. That's the YouTube channel.
Oh, that's cool.
And I go through all this history. So if people want to hear it, they can go there. And I broke up the book in chapters. Anyway, so yes, I did have a vision. It was in 2012, the summer. I was in the grocery store in Lahaina in Safeway, and I got a tug on my back, and I turned around and looked out the plate glass windows. I was standing in line to buy stuff. I was holding my kids in my arm, and I looked out, and the plate glass window changed. And what I saw was a different scene. And what I saw was there would be no more gasoline in Hawaii. The planes won't fly. The cars won't drive. Everyone will be invited to leave the islands that cannot support an agrarian society. Everything will leave and nothing will come back for 3 centuries. And then those who come back will be the Chinese. It's not that because the world died and no one was there. It's because the world is collapsed and rebuilding itself and there aren't assets enough to come back to the islands. That's the vision I saw in 2012. And I felt that if I went back to Hawaii, I went back 4 years later and moved there, that I would skip out all that stuff. And I would just have a cool life with my family. So when I moved there, I moved to Lahaina. I was on Kaanapali Hillside. I had the second biggest house. I paid it in cash. I had 2 airplanes. Everything was paid off. I didn't have to work. I screwed around all the time. And so I got my commercial license and I flew all the islands and I flew tours. And that's when I ran into my friend in Molokai. And it was all set up that I would happen that way. Then he transferred to me all that he is, and it came alive, and then I nurtured it and I grew it, and what I learned and what I became and what I am is I don't remember my old self. That I go by Bob Wiegand, but that I don't remember that guy.
You lived at the coffee farms in Lahaina.
Yeah, I lived below him.
Yeah, I probably do know you.
Yeah, it was right there. I lived in Kaanapali, in the neighborhood.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey Bob, check this out. What Epic Journeyman? When I was a kid, I was 12 years old. I lived down in San Diego, and I had bought this skateboard. Like I had bought this specific skateboard. It was like a light blue fiberglass flexing skateboard back, when skateboards were first starting to be a thing.
Making a comeback, yeah.
Right. But they weren't making a comeback. They were starting. It was the very beginning.
Yeah, it was a skateboard magazine just come out and all that stuff. Yeah, like 2 years before.
Epic Journeyman asked me one night, and for no reason, I forget why, I said something about where I lived, and you said, dude, I think I met you when, he goes, he goes to me, did you have a light blue skateboard? Epic Journeyman did.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, man, I mean, that is a fact that if someone said that to you, you would not think, you would think that for sure that they were there at that point, right? So at that point you'd believe anything that they said, I mean, it's like, wow, really? Like the Epic Journeyman. Yeah.
Well, it was a junior high school on a Saturday, because back in the old days you could go to school on the weekend, right?
So it's just a trip. So now that's why. And there's been a few times on the show. I'm just mentioning this real quick. It's been a few times on the show where Epic. There's this guy, Mr. Gates. He lives in Las Vegas.
Just come to a video store.
He used to go to Epic's video store. So
That I
I
own,
bet
uncle,
you
yeah.
guys, I'm telling you, Epic can't be on camera for certain reasons, and but I'll bet you guys know each other. You guys know each other.
Probably.
Anyways, so
Yeah.
there it is. So you're there on the islands, and please continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to distract
No,
you either. 'Cause
No worries. You need background information. So I'll get into talking some story about my friend and what we did. These are things I never talked about. I haven't revealed any of this stuff. It is what I tapped into in Maui is the heart of darkness. There are things that are so dark buried in the island of Maui. It was induced there by the Tahitians, who ruled 900 years by a firm fist and dark magic with dark kahunas doing blood sacrifice. The heiau in Hana is a blood sacrifice altar. The thing is like 3 stories high, man. It's like almost a city block. It's huge.
Wow.
And it's almost 1,000 years of sacrifice. So, people go to Maui and they think it's all happy and loving and forgiving and all that stuff. They're just living on the top of the waves. You get underneath the island like I did, and it's beyond hell. There are things there that make the devil look like a novice, and I got into all of them, and they came at me. They ran at me. They nearly killed me. And here I am in Maui. I'm wondering, like, where did all the joy go? And so my friend, he proxied in, and he proxied in as me and as a married man and as a husband and as a father. And he took all the hits while I could catch my breath. And then he transferred everything into me so that I wouldn't die. And he spiked me unbelievably spiritually, like beyond this earth. And that's the only way I could have survived. And whatever was coming at me came from even the places of the 5th dimension trying to kill me. And it didn't happen. I fought. I was a soldier. I was a real soldier in this world. And I was a real soldier in the other world. And I don't know how I made it, but I'm here. And I'm like, it's like, whatever. I don't really care. So some of the things that we did that were quite incredible. Kalaupapa, the leper colony, everyone that was Hawaiian didn't have an immunity to it. They were dying, so they sent them all to this little island peninsula, 4 miles out and 4 miles wide, with a 4,000-foot cliff behind it. Once you get dropped off there, that's where you stay till you die. There are huge pits of thousands of Hawaiians that they threw them in. They were dying like 5 a day and just tossed them in these pits, and then they bury it. Well, when I got there on the first trip, I started seeing all these spirits all over. I mean, they were everywhere. That place was like a quiet hell. It was really heavy, really dark. That was my first trip. I went like 6 times just to see him. One time I went with my daughter. She was 2 years old. I was carrying her in my hands. He looked right at me. He looked at her. He tickled her. And it's like he blanked out. There are no people allowed under 16 on Kalaupapa. It's illegal. You will definitely go to jail. It is a federal offense to go into Kalaupapa under 16 years of age. It is when these people had children, the nuns took the children. They never heard the cries of the babies. They never heard the laughter of a child. All the children were removed and sent to the other islands because they were like the children were sentenced to death of leprosy. So the people would just birth them and that would be it. They didn't even get a chance to see him. So here I am with my little daughter. We go on the ride and go to Father Damien's church, and I see all these dark entities. They're in a circle around us, and they're just watching us. The funny part was, as we were driving to the church in the bus, I was playing in the back. I was in the very back. I was playing with her, and she was giggling, and we were laughing. And he hits the brakes. He goes, "Is there a child on the bus?" And I was just like, I thought, yeah, man, you just talked to her. And he goes, "Put her on the ground, hide her, be quiet. The nuns are driving by." Oh, man, I'm going to lose my job. Oh, I'm going to go to jail. That's when I found out it was illegal to bring a child there. Oh, because I didn't buy a ticket, man. I would fly over there on my own. I wouldn't buy any tickets or get approvals. I would just go over and then do these tours with him. It was hilarious. So I was so illegal.
That's the benefit. I was going to say
what happened on Kalapapa was when he and I were talking, and my little girl was laughing, and we were playing with her. The darkness on Kalapapa went away. It dispelled it. That was supposed to happen. The laughter of a child was supposed to be present on Kalapapa to dispel the darkness that remained because of the innocence of a child. Only the innocence of a child could do that, and that's what happened. And it turned into a Garden of Eden. I was so happy that we could do that and put the dead to rest. It was an incredible thing, man. I saw Lemurians and giants. I saw Mother Mary. I saw Father Damien. The things I saw there and the things that we did there are off the hook. And I never talked about it. I never told this story. And those are all for another time, because there's a lot of stuff that we did. We talked every day for 3 years. That's 1,000 days. And every day was a miracle. Every day was new. Every day was a visit. We would go places. I have been to the depths of hell and below, and I have been outside the universe. I have seen the God realm, and I have talked to the architects, and I have seen that place from which all things came, beyond the great mist. And nobody knows what that is. I have never spoken of this. He told me I was supposed to take all this stuff into the world. I didn't know what that meant. I thought I would be like the next Billy Graham, doing these big seminars and stuff. No, it wasn't that at all. I'm not supposed to be known. No one's supposed to know who I am. I'm slipping through society and nobody even knows where I am. Most people think I'm dead. Everybody in my life I have no contact with anymore. Most people think I died. I have been in 2 plane crashes. I survived both. Just those 2 alone are stories unto themselves. It is not possible to have survived and done what I've done. I don't know what it is that did it, but I just say it's soul. My soul and me are one, and we live together here, present. I see through all things. Everything to me is translusory. I see behind it. All the alien stuff to me is like, I don't even want to waste my time with it. They're so low echelon. They're so low on the totem pole, they don't even come up on the Richter scale. They think they're all this and all that, and they're not. The truth of it is, you yourself, when you find what you really are, you are so beyond all that stuff. These guys don't even matter. They come to you for advice. And all these idiots out there trying to get aliens to come here to teach them and save them and show them technology. Kiss my butt. They can all kiss me. Screw them. It doesn't mean anything, man. I fought these guys. I was part of Billy Meyer and his little Play-Aaron group for like 15 years. I was in the inner core of those people. I studied everything, and it's all half-truths, half-measures, all bullshit. Yeah,
right. So I have another question about that, if you don't mind, because it ties.
Go ahead.
So you said you were trained as a Navy SEAL, like you went through SARS and all that stuff, right, and on to the next level, and you deployed actually with the SEAL team.
Yeah, that in the CIA and the FBI and.
Okay. Well, I mean that's good. So what it leads to the next question. So I know you've obviously been on a submarine then, and then the escape trunk training and all that stuff, and gone out and done the blown up the fake radio towers and all that stuff, and maybe some real ones. But I wonder if along the way, and there's a purpose in what I'm asking, if you were selected back then, because the main thing about special forces training is to steal your mind, like because you might get captured, you have to withhold the secrets under torture, all that kind of thing. So it's really important to develop a strong mind, which obviously you've done. So do you think at some point that not only were you selected from the spiritual realm, but were you selected on the more secular realm, if you will,
the material
to go into this?
That's a really good question. To bring it down to something that you can see, my grandfather was part of something that precursor Project Paperclip. He was a rocket scientist from Hitler's Germany. He worked for the Department of the Navy, and he worked on the Apollo rockets, and he developed radar, and he did a bunch of other stuff. my father, his son, joined the Navy and went through UDT training back in 1954 in Little Creek, Virginia. But he didn't make it. But he stayed in the Navy, and when I went through SEAL training, he was still active duty in the Navy. He was an E9. And so as I put my application in to go into the SEAL team, I did it as an officer, and I walked in off the street in Los Angeles, and I was laughed at. They only take academy guys or Ivy League guys in ROTC, like Penn State, Harvard, crap like that.
Yeah.
And here I am walking off the street. I was still in college. I hadn't even finished. Hey, I'd like to apply for the SEAL team slot for the officer program. And they're like, yeah, you can put your thing down, but we'll just make you a supply officer. That's what they offered me. And I told them no. And they came back and they said, we can't believe this, but you've been selected as a Navy SEAL candidate in the officer corps. Why don't you come in and sign the papers? We've never seen this before. And so I did. So yeah, there was a background. I had it was nepotism. I'm sure they pulled my file and looked at my dad and my granddad and like, holy shit, let's throw this guy in there. I was the odd man. I was 28 years old. I was an old man. Everyone else was like 17 to 21. Here I am at 28. So my personality and mine were already formed.
Were you?
Yeah, they softened it up, but I wasn't like auto. How do I say? I wasn't brainwashed.
Were you
I didn't get brainwashed.
Were you selected as a child in the gifted children programs? Anything like that? Any special?
No, man. I was a moron.
Yeah, well, these were experimental.
My brother was.
Yeah.
My brother was a freaking genius. Me, I was stupid, but I had a body I could play. I had a very strong body. It was very strong and really hard to break me. And that's how I got through all this stuff. My brother wasn't as physically strong, but his brain was out in the outer space. But what happened with my friend in Hawaii is he altered my brain, and my intelligence and my understanding increased beyond belief. It became like there were no bounds to it. I could just know what I wanted to know. I could talk to whatever I wanted to talk to. That's what I became. So my brain, my intelligence, my cognitive awareness, my insights and intuitiveness, my internal world was completely revamped and upgraded quite a bit. I don't even know how to. I can explain how it happened and get into the techniques and details of it, but he did it to me. He altered me. Like I told you, this guy wasn't a human, man. The stuff he could do was unbelievable.
Well, I mean,
the fact you turned left, taking off your plane, right? Like that's the first time you met him. Was you're coaxed into making this left turn and just made a detour to Molokai unexpected. Like I've flown Mokulele Airlines a lot, Southern Airlines now. The charter, I mean not charter, but commuter plane.
It's like private charter.
Yeah, and get to make those. That's the best way to fly, right? So it's cool you got a plane and are able to do that. But the thing about Molokai is like you really almost have to be invited there. For people who don't know, it's very exclusive in the sense that the locals don't want you there if you're not invited there.
Right.
I don't think that's mean-spirited or unfair for me to say.
No, you want to know why that is? I'll tell you why. Nobody knows this. Everything I'm telling you guys is like I've never talked about. Nobody knows this stuff. The reason Molokai, you can go to people and say, "Hey, you ever been to Molokai? Where's that?" Oh, it's between Maui and Oahu. It is. It's like it goes off people's radar. All right, Molokai. Let's just put it this way: it's reserved. I'll just say it real simple. Molokai is reserved to be pristine, which holds the continuity of humanity, the earth, the history. It's about one of the very few places that still holds its continuity and all that. So when I got there, and he was born there, he's a resident there, and his family goes back more than 1,000 years. So what he transferred
I have friends
to
like
me
that
was,
too. Yeah, from there.
Yeah. So what he transferred to me was all that stuff, all the continuity of all that stuff. And when it came into me, I've been on a journey now, and I realized I realize what I'm doing, which I haven't talked about either.
Are you the keeper of the flame? Because
I don't know what that is.
Well, it seems to me when you were talking about this transference, and I was thinking about some of this knowledge, that's been here over the period of time that humans have been here, and there's been specific knowledge that's transferred, as you described earlier, which was that's one of the things about having discussions with you, Bob, is the way that you verbalize what you're describing, because transference is exactly the type of thing that how could you in a brain spend enough time day by day to learn every secret of the universe? How long would that take a person? So there's absolutely no way that could happen in a body that we have here now. So the only way that information could be transferred to somebody else is via this way, this transference that you described.
Yeah, that's how it works. So it's transferred. So the universe is a toy. The universe is a toy. Let me say it again. The universe is a toy for us to play. That's what it is. When you remember who you are, this place is a toy. It's a playground. The whole universe. Earth is just one place. It's one playground. That concept alone, humans will never understand it. You can't understand that being a human. There's a reason why. Because the soul and the human are totally different things. The human and the personality of the human, the Jimmy, the Bob, the whoever, that dies when the body dies. That is the ego. The identity of yourself here on this earth is the ego. You got to think about it. Your ego is not real. It's an illusion. It gets created while you're growing up. For the first 24 years, you're borrowing from the personalities of your two parents. Now, parents today are all jacked up, so you get a jacked up personality. Then you spend the rest of your life trying to get over it.
Well, so if we're raised like one of those little monkeys that bangs the cymbals together, goes like ding, 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 ding. Hey, we're just doing what we thought we were supposed to do. And that's what everybody does in this world, right? We're all imitating and mimicking everything that we see. Because when we come here, right, we can be anything. But the thing is...
It's really not like that.
No?
What it's really like is this. No, it's not like that. We are trained to be what we think we are. We go through a training process here to think,
but Bob, when we get
be something that we are not. It's very simple. We are trained to be something that we are not through having an identity. That's what's going on here. So how do we identify with things? We copy them. When you go back to what you are, you don't copy anything. You're just what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Then that starts to change your environment. It starts changing people. It starts changing the direction of things that are moving forward. It creates a change. You don't have to do anything. It does it for you. I'll give you an example. This is really high-level stuff, man, because, it sounds good theoretically, but, I can bring it back. I can bring it down into the world and make it happen. That's what this guy did. He made things happen. It was crazy. So here's a really good story. My son joined, he was older, so he joined the Navy after graduating from Lahaina Luna. And he was on a destroyer in Norfolk, Virginia. And the two battle groups, two aircraft carriers and all their contingent, were in port in the Norfolk Naval Base. So I went over to see him, and we were walking at the very end of the piers is the carriers. And then you walk on down and you get they go down in size till you get to the submarines and destroyers. So he was having a hard time on the ship. And I go, hey, man, let's just depossess all these ships. Let's just, instead of doing yours, let's do them all. So, because I'll do crazy stuff like that. So we start with the carrier at the end of the piers, and I start walking down, and I'm just telling all that darkness to leave the ship. And we're watching all these black streaks go up into the sky. Now, it was a rainy day. It was raining the whole time. It was all black out in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, hitting one ship after another. And then I come to his ship. And there was this one that wouldn't leave. I was like, dude, this guy's stronger than me. So I called out my friend's name. And I asked him to come forward. I'm telling you a secret. I'm telling secrets here that no one's supposed to know. But now it's time to know. There's a reason why it's time to know. So I said, hey, buddy, can you come and help me with this? And so I was talking to my buddy Soul. And so his soul came forward and he goes, yeah, what do you want? And I go, this sucker won't go. And so he goes, okay, we'll do it together. And so we started working together and we got this thing to leave Reese's ship. That's my son's name. So I go, hey, let's try this. And I turned and I looked at the base and I said, you know, for over 100 years, this land has only been conducting war and killing people all over the world, millions of people. I release all of that now. And I'm not kidding, man. All these black streaks started rushing up into the sky and it opened up the dark cloud and rain and it stopped raining and there was a hole right above the base and all these dark streaks were shooting up into the sky. That stuff, I did. My buddy and I did that stuff every day for 1,000 days. There's stuff that we've done. Oh, if I just document that, people will think, "What is going on? This guy's got an imagination. I can't make this stuff up." Jimmy, you know this. When we first met, I did some stuff with you. Very simple. It was like popping a fly off of a table to help you out, and that's what I do with people. I don't know. I don't want to get into explaining it. It's very organic and it's very bombastic.
And the thing
very powerful.
The thing about you, Bob, is that there's people that you'll see that make claims to have abilities and this and that, but they're all trying to make a name for themselves. They're all trying to get some money for what they do. They're going to get $200 for a reading, so on and so forth. You help people, and no one knows your name, and you're not trying to get $200 for a reading. You don't have a website. You described a transference, and I'm just wondering if all this. So you have this ability at any given moment to know everything all at once. In a sense, it almost seems like a regular person wouldn't be able to withstand that. That in and of itself would cause a lot of disturbance in the force, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
It would blow out their nervous system. It would melt their brain. All right, let me give you why I can do this. Some of the whys. Because it's very important to say all these stories is really fun and entertaining, but to know the whys, then to know the techniques, and then to show it, and then to transfer it. Oh, I've done that. So anyway, I was talking with my friend. I was on the phone with him. I was in the middle of writing the book with Bruce, and he was telling me this is how he would call me. He would call me up. We would talk for 2 hours, and he goes, "You ready to go to school?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, is there anybody here that can come in and start teaching us?" Because he had taken this position. You got to realize this guy only read 2 books his whole life in high school, and he hated it. He doesn't even remember what they were. He could read, but he didn't read. He didn't like reading. The dude was like the dumbest guy on the planet, man. He was like mentally retarded, but yet something happened to him where his brain opened up. So this is what he did to me. I said, "I can't follow you, man. I'm really trying. I'm a smart guy, and I can't follow you. It's like my brain locked up. It feels like I'm running into a big wall of steel." And he goes, "Hold on a second here," because he was bringing things in to teach us. And so I feel like, anybody out there can help this guy? These guys show up, and I realize, okay, so these guys show up, and I'm not going to go into the details of what happened, but in 30 seconds, my brain freeze, my limited intelligence was removed. And all of a sudden, he called me Bubble Eyes after that. I saw everything. I could see, go, be. It was incredible. I could know what I wanted. And I just followed him toe to toe. And all these advanced, I don't know, all these beings came in from all kinds of places. And they were on a sign. They were told to come and teach us. And so I got taught by the best, man. This wasn't a human thing. And every day was like this for 1,000 days.
And I want to make an important distinction about this too, is that this is not using drugs or taking shortcuts. Nope. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is that there's dabblers, and there's people that play around with, books that they can buy, on the, store shelf from Aleister Crowley. And and they dabble around.
Necronomicon or something, yeah.
Right, so they dabble around, but the thing is that you can't achieve, you can't go where Bob has been and where he is by going and reading Aleister Crowley books, or whatever it is that you're into. I mean, the only way to get someplace is to have somebody who's been to where that is, guide to show you. And Bob apparently has met that person for him, and he's been taken through something by somebody that's Epic Journeyman is an electrician. In order to be a journeyman, he has to go through 4 years of an apprenticeship program. So the thing is you can learn about shit on the internet. You can go watch some videos or whatever, okay? But it's not the same thing as being an initiate, to have to go through the rites of initiation and to overcome difficulties and be able to move beyond where you are to the next place because you were you made it through that. Okay, so now you're worthy of the next thing that you have to overcome, because that's what it is overcoming these difficulties. Whatever it is, you don't have to go where Bob is. Everybody has difficulties in their lives. Overcoming those difficulties is what, brings on the wisdom for you to continue on. Without, you don't overcome the difficulty, then you don't make it past the problem. And then you're stuck in the problem, and then you're backstroking in the toilet. Mine's Jimmy. It's into the Microcosm. We're here with Bob Wieglin and Epic Journeyman, Rock and Rio. We're talking about Bob's journey. The journey didn't begin just on the island now, right? There's things that happened previously, and
no, it began before I was born. It was all set up. I just didn't want to do it. So this has all been like, I don't want to do this. I've been fighting it my whole life, and I just couldn't. They wouldn't allow me not to do it, so I did it. Like, I've died. 2 plane crashes. The last crash, God, can I die this time? I don't want to come back. And he's like, nope. Oh, that son of a bitch. So here I am. All I can say is that my life was laid out to do this. This is not a normal journey for people. And people need to get over their fear. They need to get over their own self-inflicted wounds and their childhood traumas that they think are real. There's so much I can say about it. The struggle that people have I call it the human condition. It's the mind. It's the mind, psychology, psyche, and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And those that's very key, because everything can be drilled down into those 4 things. He was a master at those. That guy was a maestro, man. He worked. I wouldn't want to go into it because it's very deep, heavy stuff. But what I find with people is that they're just dabblers. They just want to be entertained, and then they're afraid, and then they don't want to change what's going on in the world around them, even though it's going to shit. They don't want to change the shit that they're in.
So these dabblers, Bob. People that go and they do certain things. When they do those things, they open themselves up to certain things, and these things then
They open up their
attach-
psyche.
attach.
They're opening the door to their psyche, and then they feel. Then what jumps in their psyche takes control of them, and becomes the chatter in their brain.
So is
These
there,
things
so these
will harbor themselves within these four aspects of the human condition. 90% of it being in the psychology, and they can also burrow themselves into the nervous system, your nervous system of your body, and you have to get them out of that.
So the thing is when you do certain things in life, with unbeknownst to the general public, they're just walking around. They're over there getting a tarot reading. They're over there doing this. They're doing that. They're lighting candles. They're doing all this shit. They don't know what they're doing. But you know, I'm just using Ouija board as a grotesque example. Okay, so they got a Ouija board. So they didn't say bye at the end of their Ouija board experience, and so whatever was there is there. Now it's attached to them. Whatever they got a haunting or whatever. This kind of shit.
Do you want to know how it really works?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you, Bob. How does it really
Okay.
work? How do
All right,
these
this is how
demons?
it really works.
How do
You
these
don't have to go
demons?
into explaining it. I'll just tell you how it really works. All right. Everybody, you have an entourage with you. I have mine with me. Everybody has an entourage. It's the things that you can't see that are around you. It's sort of like you're emitting a little frequency and it tracks things. It's sort of like the blue light attracting the mosquitoes. You come cruising around other people, and your little buddies that you can't see sees their little buddies that they can't see, and they high-five each other and start trading bodies. They start going back and forth, and they're having a field day, and we're a smorgasbord. We're like a big buffet table for them. So when you go to all these tarot card, all these near-death experiencers who now have all these gifts that they pay, you have to pay money to talk to them about, and their boring lives, and you're trading. Your little entities and their entities are trading each other back and forth, high-fiving each other. That's what's happening. Because these entities, they see what's going on. You can't see nothing, man. As a human, we're blind as a bat.
Mm-hmm.
Or even our little pings going out don't go anywhere.
Now,
So these entities, they play us. They think it's funny. And that's what you're doing. You're trading shit for shit. It's sort of like you go and you give them your shit money, and then they hand you a shit advice, and then you walk off with their shit, and they walk off with your shit. It's a trade.
That's funny, man. Seriously, no, really.
So would you say the currency for them is action or inaction? Like, in other words, the entities that are trading spaces and trading bodies that are the legion, if you will, following the individual, is the currency in their universe, since they're eternal at this point, your action or inaction? In other words, is it making you do something or change something or make an active consequence?
All right. Let me explain this, because this is what it really is. All right. We call it a currency because we're used to money. It's not a currency. It's a game. It's chess. What it is when you start to realize what's going on, they start playing you, and you have to start playing them. You have to learn the game, and it's chess. You will never win, and they will never win, because a win means it came to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is like a death, and so they don't want to go to the end. So what I learned to do, he taught me and showed me, is to just checkmate them. And if they want to go further, and they have done it a few times, I'll tell you what, it didn't end well for them. They're going to have a long time figuring out what happened to them. He would kick their ass, but he didn't like doing it. So he would just go to the checkmate, and he'd say, "You want to go any further?" And they would sometimes say, "Yeah." And he would knuckle up and go for it, and it would induce a death. Because when you go for the win, you have to die to win. It's a concept that is really intense, man. It's like, you've never heard this before. So what I do with them is I play chess. I go right to the checkmate. And I say, "Do you want to go further?" And because I've done it so many times now, I have built up my clout, and they see that clout, and they're like, "Holy shit, no, I don't. This he's crazy. He'll take us to our death." There is no death. It's not real, but it feels like it. And it's the feeling of dying that is really terrible. And that's how they you'd get them to disconnect from you. So I've depossessed myself of, shoot, man. Bruce helped me on this one. I kicked out a Draco warrior class in me like 2 months ago. Vibrated them right out of me. That's not humanly possible. So what am I? That's the question. I'm nobody. I'm just here screwing around, entertaining myself. I'm really nobody. And that's why nobody knows where I am or who I am or that I'm even alive. I don't really care. So
that's the
concept of being nothing is very important.
And that's I just want to point that out one more time, because the thing is Bob, nobody knows your name, nobody knows where you are, and the thing is all these other people are trying to make a name for themselves with whatever abilities they claim to have, one way or the other. So but the thing is you're not out anywhere making any claims. You're not somewhere out advertising what you're talking about here tonight on the show and what's in the book. You actually lived the experiences that you're talking about right now and that are in that book. You can find the book on Amazon.
Yeah, I meet people. I meet people as is needed, and that is it. If someone needs to meet me or find me, they do. If not, and it's not very many people. I changed lives. So what he gave me was this ability. You go to all these players out there, these light players, whatever they are, channelers of nothing, talk garbage.
Mm-hmm.
They can't boost you up. They can't transfer anything to you. They can't give you anything. They can't accelerate you. They can't compress time with you. They can't push you to the next level. These things that I do are permanent changes. You cannot go back. If you try, you will not enjoy trying. These are permanent.
These 1,000 days.
I don't do that much. What?
The 1,000 days that you spent, was that time compressed?
It was compressed. I did in 3 years what took him 30 years.
Wow.
I did it in 3 years. When you do that, you have to die over and over to do it. And that's the only way you can learn it. What I learned is I had to die to learn what I know. Because I wasn't afraid of death, because SEAL team, I figured I was never coming out of there alive. I didn't have a fear of death. I'd already died at age 5. So I understood that all you do is step out of your body and you just kind of like, where do I go now? So I was never afraid.
How did you die when you were 5? Was it drowning?
I was in LA. I was growing up. I was in Bell Gardens. I was outside late at night because, a derelict family, and just playing around with the gangs of LA. And a guy came up behind me, grabbed my hair, pulled my face straight up to the sky, and cut my throat with a knife. He had a stiletto, popped it out of the sheath, and went right to my throat and was carving into my throat when these other guys ran up and stopped him.
That's
I
pretty
jumped
intense.
out of my body. That's how I grew up.
Well, I was wondering if it was drowning or it's close, suffocation, because there's something about that.
Well, it's all the same, leaving your body is all the same regardless. There's a guy, Darius Wright, that teaches out-of-body experience, and he's a very, very gentle process where he gets you to leave your body and you go explore what you are, and then you come back, and he's like, when I first heard him, I go, that dude's been listening to me. He's ripping me off. And then as I listened to him more, I go, oh no, he's actually leaving his body and remembering who he is. So he had his way, his path is different than my path. My path was the path of the warrior. His path is the path of an experiencer, that he can share it. My path of a warrior allows me to stand up for the innocent and beat back whoever. I don't care if they're aliens. Fuck them if they're aliens. They can kiss my ass. That's how I feel about them. They attacked me, man. They came at me for blood. And it was my buddy that he nearly died protecting me. It wasn't a joke. They can go kiss my ass, man. And they're like shaking their boots when I say that, because man, I can bring down stuff on them they've never seen. Yeah, they're smart and all. What they did is they disconnected from soul, and I connected to soul, and that's the difference. All these aliens are disconnected from soul, and they know it.
Do you think that when you die, you open up all the parallel lives and dimensions and worlds you would have had? Like, in other words, if every life has, let's say, 1,000 branches or 10,000 branches, if you die early in that branch of your primary life, like your base reality, and then if you die early, right, but you come back, like in the case of the knife attack, do you think it opens up that realm, that you have more access to parallel realms, or no?
No. You have better luck doing it now while you're alive than dead. When you die,
but I'm saying is you're more sensitive to it. What I'm saying is, you think that because of that.
Here's what I'm hearing on this conversation when I'm listening. Is I'm hearing that so when I'm here, I'm me. But when I'm not here, I'm not myself anymore, and now I'm everything everywhere. And what you're describing, Bob, is the knowing of that. So
yes, I live like that all the time. I'm always like that.
You live in the knowing of that, and so that's a whole different. You're living in a space where you're everywhere and everything all at once. Just like
what I learned is the universe is inside you. It's not outside. It's inside you. It's not in the stars. The universe is inside you. I can prove it to you, but it has to do with getting into the atom, looking at the gluons and quarks coming in and out. They're coming in and out of some place that doesn't exist. They call it the quantum. They're trying to identify it because the scientists with these particle accelerators, like there's one like 10 minutes away from my house that I went and did a tour on. That they're trying. I talked to the scientist about this, so I'm not like making it up, man. I talked to the guy doing the research from MIT. He's got a German accent. It's crazy as hell. So here I am. They're trying to figure out how matter is made, and I looked at him and I go, "Oh, it's made like this." What's happening is matter is coming from the non-matter. It's coming through the center of the atom. The center of the atom is like a portal. And these quarks and gluons are going into that non-place, back into time and space. And by doing this over and over through intent and thought, it's creating matter. Matter doesn't matter.
Matter's based on intention. Yeah, that's right.
It's more than that. Matter doesn't matter.
Well, it's sustained by intention. Because without the intention, it doesn't.
Ultimately, yeah. It's sustained by attention to the you think matters, but it's sustained by something else that has. You can't call it attention. It's something different, and that's what this guy had, and that's what this guy gave me. He called it divine love, but it doesn't have a name. It's what holds all things together. It almost sounds like Star Wars when
it's God,
Obi-Wan
right?
Kenobi.
The thing that holds everything together, right? All the things together at once.
Let's just say it's that energy that is in between all those things that have space. Like there is space between electrons. There's space between gluons and quarks. There's space between atoms. Within that space, that emptiness between all that,
cavitation
is this thing I'm talking about. Now, he called it divine love. That was the best way he could describe it. Because every time it came into life and it kicked into gear, it acted in a way that everybody was a winner. And he did it we did it 1,000 times in 1,000 days. And then I got the hang of it and I started to figure out what it was, like a mathematical formula. And then I started to emulate it over and over. But man, you got to look, the parameters by which you must live by in order to activate that. Well, that's another story to talk about, because not anyone can. Yeah, the possibility for anyone to do it is there, The probability is not. And it's the human condition and people's beliefs and these dumbass aliens and all this other bullshit that gets in the way of this. And when you access this, all bets are off. And that's how I got the Draco out of me. He was trying to kill me. I laid in bed for 6 months with a gun to my head. Every breath, one more breath. That's from December to June of this year. That sucker got in me when I did that last crash, and he would not let me go. He was vicious. I got rid of him at Bruce's house. We meditated together and vibrated that sucker right out of me. So I know what I'm talking about. And what was I going to say in that?
We're coming up on
and as far as the psychedelics go, I lived with a medicine woman for a year last year in New York, and she serves Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden.
Mm-hmm.
She serves him. He came over to the apartment twice. That was our apartment. We moved into that place together. He knows her in her old apartment and her new apartment. He knows about me, but I would stay in the other room because I didn't want to meet him. I would give him a blessing. He would be coming up the elevator, and then I would go in the other room. So I never met him. I didn't want to. And then he would have these experiences that she would come out of, and she would say, "This is what happened." And I go, "You ever seen that before?" "I've been doing this for 10 years. I've never seen that before." And I go, "That's because I blessed him." She was blown away by me.
Wow.
She couldn't do what I do.
Bob, we're coming up on a break. When we come back, Rock and Rio, are you there?
Yep.
Hey, Bob, can you take some calls and people have some questions? Maybe ask you.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
When we come back, we'll open up the phones for the third hour. We'll get into it. Mine's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosms Revolution.radio. Come on down, become a supporter. Studio A, Studio B, 48 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll find something. There's something there for everybody. And, it's like the weather, man. If you don't like something else will be coming along just a minute. Like we're saying, when you come up here, please try to support. If you don't have any cash, that's fine. Just, share it out with people. Let them know. I have the intense cricket of all crickets living here right in the studio because my studio is outside because I live in the California sun in the Santa Cruz Mountains. All right, well, we'll see you when we come back, and I'm going to open up these phones for Bob. And don't forget, you can find this book over on Amazon, Light of Darkness, Bob Wieglin, Bruce Mac, M.A.C. Donald. FreeWorld.fm. It's the Independent Broadcasting Network. Mine's Jimmy. It's into the microcosm.
I used to be lonely till I learned about living alone. I found other things to keep my mind on, and I'm getting to know myself a little bit better. Whoa, I keep pushing on. I keep pushing on. Going through all the changes, I made so many mistakes. Oh yes I did. Trying to leave behind the heartache. And sometimes I think I was a little bit crazy. Oh yeah. Whoa, I keep pushing on.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.
interested in the paranormal, murder mystery, real natural law, you enjoy interviews with amazing guests? Then join Crypt Rick every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Revolution Radio. Studio A, freedomslips.com. Crypt Rick's Hyper Thinking. Welcome to the Crypt.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Do you love topics about history, world events, popular conspiracies, and everything under the sun, while discussing their historical context? Then welcome your host, Trinity. Where no topic is off the table, truth is spoken to power, and where your voice can be heard. Here is where you can communicate openly and learn from one another, while respecting our diverse society and figuring out the truth to where we're heading. Join Trinity in a 2-hour roller coaster ride of research, comedy, and interesting content. Made with you in mind, people that matter the most. On Mondays at 12 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Central, only on Revolution Radio Studio B. Be a part of a different way to hear radio.
If you're sick of the lies and ready to know thyself, to love thyself, well then tune in to the Loveolution with your hosts, Amy and John Paul, where we speak all about truth, love, and freedom every Tuesday night, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, right here on Revolution Radio. And remember, only you can free your mind control. Be a Loveolutionary.
Interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this important broadcasting announcement.
Now is the time to explore your greatest potential, embracing truth, health, and wellness while discarding the system and exposing its corruption. Experience true freedom every Saturday night between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live from Studio B. It's the Jonathan Wright Show.
Find it right here at revolution.radio.
We're in a narco-syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a civil majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look, it's just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. Oh, what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Shit.
Friday night, hour number 3. Position number 9.
You're the only thing I see in the room. 'Cause baby, when I'm with
We've been on an intense journey, and we can only imagine. But we're here with Bob Whelan, and he's telling us exactly, because he went through it. It's Revolution.radio, freeworld.fm, it's the Independent Broadcast Network. It's into the Microcosm, hour number 3. Rio, 718-618-99. Is it 9905? Rockin' Rio, 718-618-9905. Is that the number?
That is correct.
All right, give us a call, 718-618-9905. You have the benefit of being able to call in and talk to Bob tonight. And I don't know if that's ever happened before, but if you ever had a question, Bob just might be able to transfer some of his knowledge to you. 718-618-9905. Give us a call. So, I have a question now. I see a lot of people in the chat room over here in the Microcosm on YouTube there's a lot of people that have potentially had near-death experiences. There's people that want to leave their body, Bob, and so my question about this particular thing is, when a person leaves their body, and if their body is where their ego or where their self exists, then when they leave their body and have these out-of-body experiences, are they then obliterated and are also everywhere all at once? Is this the same kind of concept? Are they also now? I mean, because what I'm trying to, in my mind, what I'm trying to conceive of is this persistence of some sort of humanistic quality where I'm out of my body. What am I looking? Now that I'm out of my body, what am I seeing through now? I don't have eyes anymore because I'm not in my body. So now how am I perceiving myself at an out-of-body experience?
Yeah, when you're out of your body, you will look like your body, but as time goes on, that form will lose its shape. So Darius Wright says it very well. Everything is heightened, and you feel things at a more pristine level and more clear, and you're connected to everything. So if you want to go somewhere or know something, you're just connected to it. Now, how are you connected to it? I described it earlier. My friend called it divine love, but it's this glue, this energy glue. It has no name. It fills the gaps between all spaces. And so you are creating a space. You are like a space. You're creating, you're taking up space, but yet you're floating in this macabre of this frequency that is super high, and it's the lawgiver. It creates, makes, bends, and breaks laws, and you are moving through that. If you are unaware of it, or if you have not attuned yourself to it, you'll never see it, and so you are easily fooled. So many people who die, this is what they call the soul trap. So many people who die, they are easily fooled because they they're not tapped into that, which is what sustains them.
I was listening to a Jordan
And what-
Maxwell conversation a few years ago before he passed away, and he talked about when he was a young boy and he was in Catholic school, and he was learning a lesson, and it was about angels, and so and there was the priest was up there, an instructor talking about this, and so Jordan Maxwell asked the question of the priest of, well, can angels' wings catch on fire? And he said, no, they can't catch on fire. They can't burn. And so then Jordan Maxwell said, well, if they can't burn, then how do you burn when you're dead? How does this? What is this persistence in everyone's concept of what happens or what exists beyond what they can perceive? That there's a human aspect to it. There's bodies. There's people that have this concept that there's these. You're sitting there in a translucent state in some other dimension, hanging around with Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison. If in fact, the question I have for you, Bob, is, why do demons and these souls and all these people, why are they trying to get into human beings? Why do they want to be human so bad? Why do they want to come into bodies so bad? So they can have a burger? You know what I mean?
That's a really good one. That's really good. Let me tell it to you. Let me answer it this way. Everything has to be answered with a story because the direct answer is too simple. Okay?
Please do.
All right. I was in Tampa. I met this lady. She had a lot of questions about darkness. So we talked about darkness every day. And I had to stop talking to her because if I give someone too much information, I become responsible for their life. And I don't like doing that. They have to be responsible for their life. And she was digging out too much from me. So anyway, we met at a bar on the beach in Tampa. And she was really scared. She didn't know what to think of me. I don't know why I scared her. I was like, I don't know. I don't have any ill will to anyone. So I pulled the veil back and I said, I want you to look. There's about 200 people in the bar. And I said, I want to pull the veil back. I warned her, what you're going to see is you're going to see a human figure behind every single human being that is like whispering through the back of their head and influencing them. And this is what you would refer to as chatter. So the chatter in someone's brain is another being that's whispering into them from behind them. All right. So I pull the veil back and then she's sitting there, but I put a bubble around us. Yeah, there's all these things I'm telling you can do. So I put a bubble around us so nothing sees us. And she sees exactly what I described and she's blown away. She was so freaked out, and she talked about how she could hold portals open, and she was a remote viewer, and she had all these certificates. And then one afternoon with me, and she was like, "Holy shit!" So what it is they come here from other out of phase places, and they come to our phase, and they're learning through us. I'll just leave it at that, because to go further is to tell too much.
We did a show,
and I'm not here to reveal them.
We did a show called A Show About Nothing, because we put forward this idea that, and I think you'll probably have something to say about this, is that everything that people know is something that someone told them or that was written in a book, but no one really knows what's going to happen when they die. Okay, they have belief systems, they have religions, they believe certain things, certain doctrines or whatever. They practice this and that. But really the moment of truth happens, and then in that moment is when you really find out. Whatever you thought is never going to be what it is. And so our ability to even conceive of what it might be is almost we're not able to do it. But you've done it. I mean, you've obliterated your former self and transformed yourself into what you are now. And now
Yeah,
you have
that's correct.
the ability to help others because, and I'm still stuck on this. Why do these beings that don't exist on this plane want to exist in bodies so bad? Because
they're in school. They're going to school on us. They have their own school system, their own learning, their own education. It's like,
but aren't these
physical?
These demons?
They're
or
vicariously learning through us. Is what they're doing.
But aren't there like the demons, the bloodsuckers, the energy black holes that attach themselves to people? Why is that?
Okay,
why is that energy so special as opposed to existing in the, ever flowing universe that has nothing but energy? What's so special about human beings' energy, their angst, their
Nothing special. What it is we're all stupid and they think it's funny. So they come in and they learn through us. If we're not going to learn, then they use us to learn for themselves. They're educating themselves. They're not bad. They're just taking advantage of a situation because we're so damn stupid. We think we know everything where our IQs are 100. Who knows how to change a car tire? Look, you drive a car every day. How come you don't know how to change a car tire?
Because we don't know how a TV works, right? I mean, yeah.
stupid.
So you know what's funny about this though is the other side of this equation, going back time immemorial, like long before, we're talking tens of thousands of years now, is that the Earth is the center of the universe. So from that perspective, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying from that perspective, whether it be the monks in Tibet or wherever, or predating them, is the idea that it actually is the center of the universe, and that the reason that all these spirits and entities are involved here is because all the focus and attention is materialized in this plane of existence here. Everything else is in the spirit realm. Everything else is maybe somewhat physical somewhere else, but everything manifests itself physically here. Every intention, every idea, every God-given and Satan, whatever you call it, Satan, whatever you want to call the evil, adverse effect, is manifested here. And so to be part of it, to be part of the play, to be part of the action, the focus and tension is here. So, and I think that's, it's really convoluted, and it's really, making ourselves sound grandiose, really. But that is what people believed for thousands of years, because we didn't know anything.
Yeah, that's what hooks them into this place, and they stay here. They get addicted to it, so they stay here because they believe it's the center of the universe. It's not, but they want to believe that. That's fine.
I'm just
This is just a place.
yeah, this is
just a place. It's just a place. There's a lot of places out there. This is just a place. People get bound to this idea that they're special, or the body is DNA is royal DNA, or there are answers to all these, but I'm not going to get into them.
Well, so the thing is, I had this idea that when we die and we become part of everything all at once, and that we're each individual, like you were talking about, all the way down to these smallest known particles. We're all part of all that at all given moments, at all times. We're all everything. Everyone all is. Were you describing that each and every one of us has the potentiality in our lifetimes to become all and everything and nothing at the same time? Is it possible for?
Well, it's not. It's the better way to explain it is like this, because that's a psychedelic approach to the whole thing. Like, I got high on DMT, and let me tell you, we're all one. That's bullshit.
Well, I'm not meaning all one. I just mean as far as energy is concerned. If I'm all of a sudden I'm down here and I'm a condensed box, and then all of a sudden what's here is released everywhere, and this doesn't exist. My container no longer exists, but my essence still exists on some level, and that's what I'm trying to understand is what is my essence when I'm beyond my body? What is my essence at that point? How am I perceiving anything anymore? Because I only have the mechanism of what I know from being human. That's
a good question. I never really thought of it like that. I guess a lot of people really worry about that. So to say it would be to simply say it is that which I am is that which powers up this body like a suit and makes it operate. It has default functions in it that I integrate with, but they are not me. I am not Bob. I am not a human. I am not these things that I see physically. I am not my psychology, my emotions, my mind, or my psyche. Each one of those has a different function while I'm in this human body, but when I'm not in this body, I don't need those anymore. They are things that belong to the human body. That which I am is that which powers up this body. So when you start asking these questions, what you're trying to do is you're really asking, what am I? That's the real question. What am I?
That is the question.
So all I can tell you, because the answer is very simple, but what I can tell you is that you must keep asking that question nonstop until it starts to reveal itself. And then when you know it, it doesn't matter what I tell you. You have it in you. You have the capacity to do this. Just do it. That's all I did. I told my friend, if I can see it, I can do it. And so he allowed my mind to be opened up so that I can see that which I can do. If I can see it, I can do it. And that's how I operate. So on the other side, that which you desire, that which you imagine, it becomes that which you want to experience. It's like almost instant. So you are a real thing. If you want to keep looking the way you do, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to look different? Go look different.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just said it right there, right? Actually, so do you think that the concept of the seat of consciousness and the concept of I am, like the Bible says, God is the great I am, right? But if we are God, in a sense, then it's a realization that we are, that I am. It is the seat of consciousness. It goes with you wherever you go.
Yeah. This is very important. There is no God. This is
I'm just saying the I
important.
am, the concept of I am is.
The I am, this is a Judaic, Abrahamic concept. It was given to them from the star beings who took on the title of God. I'm God, I created the universe. And then these Judaic, Abrahamic guys that were Levitical and priests and had King Solomon's temple and all that stuff, they'd go into the Holy of Holies and say, I am. Well, that's where this idea of playing God came from. And this is ego on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke a great deal about ego. And I agree with you on the ego thing. I was more in the concept in answering what Jimmy was asking about when you are disembodied from yourself, from your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're out cosmos, astroplaning around.
When
what is it to hold yourself together? It is
Yeah.
a concept of I am, right?
You have to, Darius Wright explains this very well. The difference between him and me is I can just do it real time. I don't leave my body. I can just go there. I can't explain it. It's just that I'm there. I want to know that I'm there. What you're asking is what am I? Well, it depends on what you want to be.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying it's saying the realization of I am is what is a constant.
Right.
In other words,
because
when you're
look,
disembodied in your soul is out in the cosmos, it is the I am that makes you.
Even if my idea.
You know what? Okay. Let me explain this. This is very important.
Okay.
You're playing with the concept of nothing when you're saying I am. And you got to be very careful.
Well, it's a spark.
Because you're
It's the
locking
light,
in.
the darkness. Right?
You're trying to understand a concept that is actually nothing. The
Okay.
true concept that you want to learn is the concept of nothingness. Look, I grew up in religion. I went to church for 50 years. I studied the Bible. I know it left, right, up, and down. And
Yeah, not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, exactly.
well, I've done a lot of research on this too. It's like I didn't come at this ignorantly.
Well,
The concept of nothing is the key. If you want to be all that there is, you have to become nothing.
mm-hmm.
The moment you say that I am something,
You're
You are now
identified.
an individual.
That's ego, right?
And you
No, I agree with you there.
identified with it. So
No,
that
it's not
identification.
ego. That's what you got to be very careful. You're
Bob.
blending everything together, and you got to keep these things separate to understand them, because they function separately. And the trick that they're all pulling on you is to blend it all together, so you have it's like oatmeal in your brain.
It's identification.
You're looking.
Identification.
You got to
with-
identify these things individually and be very careful with them. You're playing with nuclear weapons. These are extremely powerful concepts. And to be handled lightly and all blended together as one thing and then amalgamated into some philosophical idea, it's like, good luck, man. I don't want anything to do with that.
I want to come back, if I could, circle back around to this thing I have with this obliteration thing.
It was a question, it's all.
No, the thing is with this obliteration thing, even let's just say I was obliterated and I was nothing but left particles that are in the universe. But those particles are just like a body. In other words, if there's a concept of everything with the there is no God idea, that every single particle is like a node on this plane of existence where it's taking in information. You know, like you talked about, each individual person has a frequency that they vibrate at. They have their own personal frequency. Everybody has one. And
Yeah, when you're on the other side, you can change those frequencies. You can change those modalities.
Mhm.
Yeah, here you can't. So when people try to upgrade their frequency or change their frequency, the body is like concrete. So the workaround, there are cheat codes, and I cheated my way here. You can't do 30, 40 years in 3 years. That's impossible. Not only that, I had to bring the clout forward too. That was a bitch. So you're asking literally, how do I raise the frequency of my body to be in a state of knowingness? There is only one way to do that, and you have to access this thing that he called divine love, this glue between all spaces. You have to access it, but the only way you have to be pure, you have to be sincere, and you have to have no vileness. You are not a defiler of any means. You don't defile your body. You basically become a Boy Scout.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go at this thing as a pure individual. You have to understand something. I did some stuff in my life. I have some resume behind me, but I never defiled myself. I kept my moral standards. I kept my morality. Yeah, I had a few moments where I tripped up and I had to suffer for it. But for the most part, I lived a very clean, honest, sincere life. I was a true believer in the SEAL team. There's a motto that they don't talk about. Oh, it's the bad boy, you know? It's this guy that's real tough. It's like a Hells Angels guy. Yeah, I worked with those guys. I worked with psychopaths. I worked with people that murdered for fun. It was just the group I was with, but I didn't do it. So it doesn't mean that though I was around all these things, I was on tour. I was protected from that which would permanently stain me in everything that I touched. I was handheld in all these experiences to know what I'm saying, to know that you cannot blend these philosophies together. You're asking for it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work. The problem with the human race is they have defiled themselves. They live in their own shit. And the devil himself is bored with them. The ETs look at humans as like, the best way I could say it is, they don't know who they are. More likely it is they don't know what they are. We feel sorry for them, for they don't know what they are. So why wouldn't they come in here and hijack your mind and your body and your decision-making process? Because these people here aren't doing anything with it. So they come in and they interface and they learn. The human race is, for the most part, it's a write-off. Look, I don't like telling you this. This is the truth. And I don't like telling it. But you're asking questions and you're putting me in a position where, I'm not going to be put in a blender and spun up and everything comes out one color.
No.
Everything has to be differentiated in its most minute ways. That is the only way you will learn.
Mm-hmm.
You must be able to speak to each of these minute particles of these concepts and ideas that you're talking about and have a dialogue with them in order to understand what is going on. I just told you a gigantic secret.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. Talk to these things that you think you believe in and wait for a response. They will talk back because you don't know where it's coming from. Never bend your knee to anything or anyone, not even God. You defile yourself. God doesn't, if you believe in God, he doesn't want you to bend to him and bow to him. Anything that wants you to do that, you're asking for trouble. Stand up for yourself within yourself. Find out what you are. When you do that, you will have no fear. You will have more fun, and everything will be a joke. Because it's just a joke. The whole thing is a big joke. The more you want to believe in it and blend philosophies, you're digging yourself into your own hell.
Mm-hmm.
Hell is an internal thing. So it's really amazing how all this works. You're truly playing yourself. If you want to find out what you are, start taking yourself like a crystal and looking at all its facets and talk to them. They'll talk back. Look, you're going to be looked upon as crazy, psych ward, lithium, Prozac, Wellbutrin. I spent 20 years on psychotropics. I know what I'm talking about. I was in the VA through mental health unit for 20 years. What a joke. It almost killed me. It was destructive. My friend, he brought me out of all this stuff through all his blessings and all the things he did. It was a miracle. I'm a miracle. I'm a walking miracle. It's amazing I'm even alive.
It is.
Yeah. So
this has been
what I tell is the truth, and I will not back off of it. And the more I get pressed on things, you see me push back.
This has been
That's totally okay. Yeah, exactly. You should, because you have experience, right? You've had experience and you have real life experience. You need to push back because you're speaking the benefit of having that experience. It's different. Yeah,
it's different.
But I do have a question about the facets. You said something about facets and crystals, and I just find it amazing because there's an image that people that have sometimes, especially under the influence of psychedelics. And I almost don't want to bring it up, but since you probably have had this experience, I'm going to ask you: have you seen the checkerboard floor and the tower with the crystal on the top and the lights going between them? Have you seen that in your journeys in the spirit realm? Have you seen that?
No, I didn't. Those are lower astral things. No.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I'm just saying it's something that people
I see it right now. It's like
somebody's calling.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's Mitchell.
Okay.
It's Mitchell. Hang on.
There's a lot to say about that. We don't have time right now to talk about it because I'm seeing it, and I know what it's doing and what it is. And
did Mitchell
what
join?
People are looking at, but it's.
Hold on a second.
Big topic.
Sorry about that.
I see you added him.
Okay, Mitchell, are you there? No, I don't hear him. All right, keep an eye on him. Rock and Rio. It's into the microcosm.
That's a trippy thing. I've seen, something I saw in the 80s, and I saw it on a graphic years later that somebody made on some video, like in the background of a music video or some weird thing. And it's like, dude, I saw that. Like, I saw that. And so, and I know what it is, right? And so it's like you say, it's lower projection because it represents basically Freemasonry, doesn't it? It's a tangible world manifested through the action of geometry, right?
Think of it like a radio tower, and it's broadcasting, and it's in the metaphysical, and it's coming into the physical, and so people create. Well, it could be skull and bones, masonry.
It is cool, whatever. It's I never got the impression it was cool.
Yeah, it'll manifest in some way here, in some form. Yeah. So here, let me give you a key. When I was beginning to understand things, my friend would tell me, he said, divine love is at the pinnacle of all things. So why start at something lower? Why don't we just go right to the top? And I said, I think that's right. And then I go, why? Well, divine love is that which can make, break, bend, or create new laws. So why don't we just go there? Let's just start there. I go, okay, what about God? We'll just start there. Because he didn't want to talk about God. And there are gods. There are many gods. There are many demigods. There is a lot of stuff out there, man. You would blow your mind. But there is no one all-powerful God. That was some star being bullshit when they came here and fooled us. So when we got to divine love, divine love, it manifests itself in the material world as a crystal. And it has many facets. In fact, the best way I could explain it is divine love became a material thing in the size of a flea and detonated, and that created the universe, the Big Bang. All things come from divine love. So all things that you see, experience, and are going through are the fractals of aspects of divine love. Everything goes back to divine love in the end. So what he did with me is he just took me right there. That's where we started. And then we worked our way down. Because what I was experiencing in Maui was hell on earth. My home was literal hell. The deepest, darkest dungeons of Maui came forward through my wife into my home against me and the kids and was killing us. They would manifest and attack me. Holy shit. You don't know what it feels like to have your liver rattled. Something reaching in and shaking the fuck out of it. And bleeding afterwards. Dude, what I experienced was crazy, man. All I could do is laugh about it. Like, holy shit, these guys have power. I don't want to mess with them. I had to learn to respect them. Respect is an aspect of love. They couldn't receive love because they're disconnected from it, yet they have respect and they accept respect. That's the best they can do. So I learned how to work with facets of love in a way that worked, that was manageable, that had a formulaic pattern to it. I didn't get stuck in the fractal. I didn't get stuck in the psychedelic world. I'll give you an example. In doing all this stuff, yes, my frequency raised, but it was divine love that raised my physical body frequency. It wasn't my mind or my academia or going into an amalgamated blender of philosophies or discounting everything that ever been said, because there's value in everything and everyone. So what occurred? Okay, I'll give you an example. this medicine woman I was with, she got some LSD and she goes, here, try this. And I go, I don't need your stuff. I'm already there. And she goes, no, you need to try this. And so I go, okay. And she gave me like 5, 6, 7 hits of this LSD. And I was just sitting there talking to her normal. Nothing happened. I go, let's go to dinner.
Oh, man.
She was blown away. And she goes, you know, I've only heard of this. I never see it. She goes, there was a monk that took LSD and nothing happened to him. It's because his frequency was higher than the LSD.
Wow. Hey,
and
Bob.
so we were having dinner and I was cracking up.
Hey, Bob.
Cracking jokes with her.
We got a caller, Mitchell.
All right.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Mitchell. Do you have a question for Bob?
Hey guys, this is actually Bill Grant through
hey,
Mitch's
Bill.
Skype,
Hey, Bill, what's
which
happening?
I typed in.
Hey, Bill.
It was a very hard decision for me to make to call in, but when you said there can be callers, I mean, I really just want to listen. I first of all want to say that, Bob is my favorite person I've heard on your show. So, Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
So many things I could interject on, of which I will not do. But I do want to say just a few things.
Please join the conversation, Bill. You and I go back years here on Revolution Radio, and you're very welcome into the conversation. Please join us.
Thank you, and of course I love your crew, Rio and Epic and everybody else. And haven't seen Bruce on. I see the screen. I'm at the sort of at the base here. You could say Revolution Radio base server I can see to my left. I'm not the one who runs it, but it's actually to my left. So you know, I see Bruce has not been on a few. I've wanted to join. I listen when I can, and
We got about 20.
It was an accident tonight, but Bob triggered a lot of things inside of me. Now I still have an ego. I've had a lot of things happen in my past of which I won't talk about here. Now, I give Bob the only one permission to know if it enters, if it enters your mind, Bob. You are the only one to know what has happened to some of what I will not talk about. Okay, you're the only one. All right, that's it. Nobody can know what happened to me. All right, and it's not like a tragedy or an MK Ultra anything. It's something different. But I have said what has been stated in the past. One of the answers for people is to get out of the outside world, and that it doesn't exist. When I was a kid, I tried to unify physics and played around with the dimensions and eventually time as a fourth dimension and so on. And hey, infinite number of dimensions, right? All kinds of things. And I eventually came to the true unity. Of course, you could apply that to love and the unified mind and so on. And it came down to the actual final real truth is that there is no dimensions. And I mean it 100% literally. This is not exactly a figment of our mind. That's a good way to describe it. So I just say get out of the outside world. We're entangled with the concept of being outside and that there is any space. There is no space. It's just, but love is the answer. A whole bunch of things. So many things I wanted to say so many times during everything you're talking about. I don't want to ruin what you have to say. You probably have so much more to say and like things people need to hear, but I commend you. And I've had many pets and insects, spiders around me. I all called Bob. You are my favorite Bob.
You're I love you, Bill.
Nice.
You're funny. That's hilarious. Thank you very much. You're awesome. Yeah, you're right. There are no dimensions. There are no dimensions. It's all one thing. Yet we have differentiated ourselves with ideologies and ideas. And this is a real physical world. It was created, and there was a lot of beings, a lot of jurisdictions came together to create this. I think the best way that my friend told me and showed me how divine love works, it's not really divine love. It's something else, but that's just what we called it. Is that he put it in me. It's not something that was something I had, but it had to do with my heart. And he cleared out my heart. He rewired my heart. I could feel like hands in my heart for 30 days doing this, like re-knitting my heart. Really rewired it. I was rewired. That guy rewired me. And then this field came alive in me, and it has a spin to it. And I won't say much more than that because I'm not here to detail it out. And then I started to notice that all things of this human body started to point at it, and that I was becoming trusted, that my human condition was trusting me by what I was doing and started to cooperate with me. So my ego, my mind, my psychology, my memories, my psyche, my emotions, all started pointing to this field, and these things began to trust me in what I was doing by activating this field in me. Actually, my friend activated it. I started to enliven it and make it grow. And so I ended up unified within myself. And this is what people call singularity. It's really not singularity. It's really singular cooperation with an I single to the glory of God. It's single to the glory of this divine love, this thing with no name, that which holds all things together. That's what you are. That's why when people have these experiences, oh, I'm God, I'm one, we're all God. And it's like, no, man, get your head out of your butt. It's a thing. It's real. But you are what you are. You're allowed. You have allowances. Look, this has to do with free will. And this is a whole nother show. because what's lacking here is free will, because everybody has subjugated their free will and bifurcated it in so many ways. People don't have access to it anymore. There are beings here that have been having their heyday here a long time, and they don't want to give it up. They're used to it. They're addicted to our human bodies and screwing around with it. So when a person starts bringing back their free will, oh, dude, you're talking about it's going to be a show. It's going to be fireworks. There are going to be a lot of things that are going to be upset. And they're going to test the crap out of you to give up your free will. Oh, God, please help me in the name of Jesus Christ. Holy Mother Mary, save me. It's all bullshit. You saved yourself. That's the truth. There is so much truth in what I experienced and learned and did with my friend. It's too much to just put in books and throw out and hold seminars. It's way too much. Because I see through everybody's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
There is value in everything, but you got to know how to pick it out. You got to be able to see it. So I became my own crystal of truth. I became the standard of truth, and I found my truth. I didn't find my truth. I found that truth is real and that I became truth. But I wasn't it when I started. I wasn't truth, and I didn't have it. I had to become it. That is a really big concept.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the keys that got me here.
This has been an absolutely amazing journey tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on Into the Microcosm. Bob, you're welcome to come back. If you'd like to come back, say once a month, maybe you can come back next month and we can talk about free will. Sounds like it might be an interesting topic. I don't know if you'd be interested, but you could let me know after the show and, coming weeks. 718-618-9905 is the number to call if you want to call in, talk to Bob, ask a question about just about anything. But particularly, I wanted to mention that you can find the book over on Amazon. It's The Light of Darkness, Bob Wieland and Bruce MacDonald, M-A-C. You can find the book over there if you want to check it out and get a more detailed explanation of some of the things that Bob's talking about. And he's not going into the details, he's trying to share as much information to help people as he possibly can. And so that's why we're happy to have him here tonight. Did you have anything else, Bill? What your show's on tomorrow night, right? You got tomorrow night your show?
Excuse me. Yes, actually tonight for me, technically, Saturday night and Sunday. But I forgot to say, what I call, like I typed in on the side, if you guys saw that, it's a God game. It's greater beings taking advantage of us playing the God game. So it's a big game like he talked about, and it's a big playground like he said, and I keep trying to tell everybody it's a big place. It's not just big, it's big. It's not just really big, it's really, really big. It's actually infinite, not infinite. It's actually infinite. So it's a big playground, and every infinite type of variation exists. But one of the biggest things we all have to get over is the God game. The God game is the most difficult concept for so many beings to get over. That's what I would call a master. If you reached masterhood, you have realized the God game. And thanks for your input, Bob. I hope you come back, and I get to I'll pop in and listen to you as often as I can, Jimmy and guys, and always a great show.
Hey, thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Bill.
Very kind, very good words. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I can tell that you have done a lifetime of introspection, and you're on target. I can see that.
Yeah.
So keep it up.
And Bob, it might even be maybe a little important to peer into exactly what I've done or was made to believe I've done. You take a look into that. Nobody else can know.
That has a life of its own, and it will show up in its own time.
Yep.
It's not time right now, but
right.
The notice has been put out, and it will show itself in its own time.
Yes, exactly. All right, have a great night, everybody. Hope to see you all back soon.
Thanks again, Bill.
You're welcome.
Really
Thank you, Bill.
appreciate the call. 718-618-9905 is the number to call if you want to give us a call. You got about 10 minutes left. 9905 718-618-9905. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Bill's a cool guy. Not that he gave compliments. It's just that I could see his realizations that he really worked at it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like Bill.
It's really nice. It makes me feel not alone, that I'm not alone. Because I really feel alone. Shoot,
yeah.
People are so lazy, man. Oh my God.
I know. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're all seeking something. Lots of people are trying to find an empty place, fill it with something. Sometimes people can't even sit there for 5 or 10 minutes without doing something, because they can't be alone with their own self, their own head, what goes on in our heads. And I wanted to bring this up because it relates to the conversation that we're having in that. So we've lived this lifetime, and we sit back on the porch and look up at the sky, and we have memories that happen in our side of our heads. Now, these are just memories. We're remembering something that happened to us back in the day. And maybe when you're having a memory, maybe some people do, some people don't. When they have a memory in their mind, they see a movie of the memory, and they relive the experience, and they're reliving the conversations and all this. But what's really funny is that isn't going on anywhere else but inside of your own fucking head. Nobody else knows what you're thinking. You're just sitting there, and this whole world is developing in your own mind. And so beyond the walls of your skull, most of what you think doesn't exist. It's until you actually put one foot in front of the other and take steps with an intention to do a creative act in this world that we live in, the material world. So everything starts off in the mind as nothing. And it sounds like what Bob's saying is we want to get to that nothing place. We want to get to that place. Because in that nothing space, Bob, there's nothing to worry about there, is there? You don't have to pay the rent.
No, there's nothing.
You don't have to. You can just live in the divine love that you're talking about. And it's not, this divine love that Bob's talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Valentine's Day, when you give your loved one, some candy and some flowers. That's love in a certain aspect of it. It's a facet of it, like Bob was talking about. But the divine love isn't an experience like that, is it, Bob?
No, divine love is really a wrong word for it. People fall in love with being accepted. And what it is it doesn't have judgment, and it fully accepts you because it's where you came from. It's that which sustains you. So humans just interpret that as love because they want to have a relationship like that, which doesn't exist here because humans are crazy. So it's really acceptance. So when you accept yourself, you fall in love with yourself. Therefore, divine love shows up. Mm-hmm. And to get to that place is really tough because everything in the world is against it. Even the chatter in your head is against it. Even your own human faculties will fight you on it because your the human faculties do not trust humans. That's what's really wild. And when I found that out, holy crap, my own faculties don't even trust me. So I had to learn how to have a better judgment. I had to learn how not to make decisions, how not to move in dilemmas, how to sit and just wait to see what happens. Because if there is a decision in front of you and you let's call it 10 moves, 10 different moves you can make. If you don't make any move, you'll go to number 2, do this, then number 3, do this, then number 4, do this. You just don't do it. When you get to 10, that's when divine love shows up. It shows up last because it doesn't want to interfere with your free will. And then it says, hey, I really think you should do this. And then you go with that, and it all works out. So it's about in the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich. He calls it about some kind. You got to sacrifice something. Well, if you're not moving on potential decisions, you're not doing anything. You're not gaining or losing. You're just watching. And you're waiting for divine love to show up. Now, it's not love, because divine love doesn't have emotions. It just is. It is the lawgiver. I don't know really what to call it. It is that which has no name. It can be called Shabda. It can be called sound and light. It can be called whatever. It could be called Jimmy. It doesn't have a name. That's the concept of nothingness. Going to nothingness takes you into all that there is. That's how you see all things. So I go there at will. It's a trick. All I'm doing are a bunch of tricks. I'm tricking the game. I hijacked the game. I got the cheat codes. I'm a cheater. That's what I am. I started cheating. And it started at some point. I don't feel guilty about it because I got my ass kicked to get here. Oh, man. When I started figuring it out, beings would show up and they would say things like, wow, you graduated. Well, call us the honorable ones. And I go, can I call you assholes? No, honorable ones. Why? Because we follow the law. Ding! Law? Oh my gosh, that was another key. Every frequency embedded in it is the law of the frequency, and it will talk to you if you ask it. And so I started cheating and started asking, what frequency are they in? What is the law by which they live? Therefore, why are you? Why do you exist? And then they get stuck within their own frequency because they believe the I am.
Well, would you say that they have to abide by the law? Like, is that the trick?
Absolutely. Yeah, because they believe there's something. So they're stuck in that field that they believe in. And that's how I beat them. I didn't really beat them. I just checked them on it. And they're like, yeah, you're right.
Well, hey,
they walk away.
Why I was saying that thing about in your own head is because the other day I was thinking about a scenario, and I basically it ties right into what you've been saying with chess, because in my mind I was playing out this scenario that this was going to happen and that was going to happen, and I was going to have to say this and I was going to have to do that and this and that and the other thing, and then when it all played out in the end, my boss wasn't in the conversation. You know what I mean? The insurance people weren't in the conversation. You know what I mean? They weren't physically in the conversation. Yeah. I didn't have the conversation with them, but I went through the whole thing in my own mind. But so the thing is it never actually happened anywhere but in my own mind. And so I went through the whole thing and I played it out. I played the game in it, and then that is when I put my hand on the piece and moved my piece on the chessboard.
Yeah.
I didn't make my move.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. Yes. See, that's you doing it. What I learned to do is to let divine love to do it, because see, divine love can change the law. So I became a lawbreaker. I started pissing off a lot of things when I figured all this out. Well, I didn't really figure it. I did figure it out, but
Bob,
my friend, he guided me through it.
We got 1 minute left. You can find the book In the Light of Darkness on Amazon. Bob Wiegland and Bruce MacDonald. You can find the book there. Bob, hopefully you can come back again and visit us. This has been an incredible journey. I'm just gonna have to go back and listen because there's no you've relayed you've transferred so much information over tonight to all of us via this show, and I appreciate it very much. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, have a good night.
Tomorrow night we'll be on YouTube with the Chilluminati, the Supreme Order of Magnitude, and we'll talk to you guys then. Thanks for being here.
Let's take a trip together, headlong into the irresistible orbit. Breathing cool black space.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Listen right edges.
Rio.
Management would like to take a moment to thank the listeners and hosts for all their support that has made Revolution Radio one of the biggest platforms for free speech.
Sorry about that. Hey, we're still on YouTube. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. I had to get rid of Revolution Radio.
Be alone with me, just to be alone, just to be alone with me.
All right. freeworld.fm, YouTube. Thanks for being here. And we're going to check you guys out tomorrow, 7 o'clock Pacific, right here on YouTube and freeworld.fm. So we'll see you guys all later.